Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me those thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me, see me, or are having any type of troubles whatsoever, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who's in the building early, all right? Shout out to my man Cameron Jones. What's good with it, bro? We got Volvo 2 Love in the building. Shout out to you. Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug. What's good with it, bro? Make sure y'all show Win Loser Rug some love. Throw some like enforcers in the chat for enforcing them likes early. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to my man Al McGowan. All right, what's good with it, bro? So, how many people remember? I think it was like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago when Matt Walsh came out with that documentary. It was like an interview documentary type video where he was going around asking people the question, quote unquote, what is a woman? Do y'all remember that? And the what is a woman thing sparked a lot of controversy. And the reason why the what is a woman thing sparked a lot of controversy because Ketanji Brown Jackson, during her Senate hearing for being sworn in as a Supreme Court justice, was unable to successfully answer that question. It was one of the shining moments in Black American history. You guys remember? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down. When that moment happened, it was like the Autobot Matrix opened up and the light was bestowed upon her. Now, why are we bringing this up? We're bringing this up because recently there was a podcast that the Hodge twins did, and they had Destiny on there, the YouTuber Destiny. One segment of the podcast involved a brief exchange / brief debate on the concept of quote unquote what a woman is. Now, mind you, one thing that was interesting about this that you'll notice immediately is that there was no woman there to contribute to the definition or to self-define. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man AB Promotions. I always think that that's pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? So I want to ask you guys a question. What is a woman? Let me know in the comment section what your best definition of a woman is. Now, before we go there, we got to ask this question. In 2024, do facts matter? Does data matter? When it comes to validation of information, validation of theories, validation of hypothesis, validation of anything, what matters to solidify information as correct or factual? Does truth matter anymore, or is truth subjective? That's my question. What's you guys' opinion on that? Let me know what you guys think. All right. People that have been checking out the channel for a long time already know about the post-truth era and about post-truth politics, but we're going to define post-truth era and post-truth politics. Because if you ask me, a lot of these debates are debates based around emotional attachment to talking points and not so much what is solidly, validly rooted in reality or in actual fact. All right. Shout out to Miss Nisi. What's good with it, Miss Nisi? All right. Yeah. Now, shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said feelings, facts don't matter. Feelings matter. I would actually tend to agree for the most part. I would tend to agree. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. No, truth does not matter anymore. It doesn't matter. You can tell the truth. You can have all the receipts. You can prove your point. Literally, none of it matters. which is a very dangerous place to be, if you ask me. It's a very dangerous time in human history / evolution, de-evolution, whatever you want to call the direction that we're moving in right now. Regardless of which direction it's in, it's a very dangerous place to be. And the reason why it's very dangerous to be, because in most cases when you're dealing with delusion or dementia, delusion and dementia are healthcare diagnoses that create an issue with people's orientation to reality. So if we're in a post-truth era where truth doesn't matter, facts don't matter, data doesn't matter, only popularity and emotional fulfillment matter, how safe is it to be a part of a society that moves on baseline delusion? How can a society like that be maintained? How can people in that society improve themselves or educate themselves? How will anybody know what's going on at any point at all? That's my question for you guys. Anybody got any ideas, any thoughts? Oxford Dictionary in 2016 named the term post-truth as the word of the year. All right. Post-truth. Now, you can tell, right, by sounding the word out, what does post-truth mean? Clearly, post-truth must mean after truth, right? So, in a chronological order of operations, a chronological order of debate, a chronological order of reality, what comes after truth? What comes after truth? What is the post-truth era, when truth no longer holds currency value? How do you get there? Okay? Post-truth. Post-truth is a term that refers to the 21st century widespread documentation of and concern about disputes over public truth claims. All right, now let me ask you guys a question. What are some public truth claims that people are disputing about to this day? One of these claims would be, what is a woman? Right? Shout out to Ron Tobert. One of these claims would be, what is a woman? Another of these type of claims would be Black history, right? That's under attack. People want it out of the schools. Gender topics. Men and women getting butthurt all day based on talking points. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that are starting to have more value than factual information. What value do academic societies and scientific process have in a society where there's no value for factual information? That's my question. How does the news media present any information if there's no value for information? How do you test information for purity if there's no value to information? Pure and contaminated information, in theory, may have similar value. Okay? This is important. Post-truth is a term that refers to the 21st century widespread documentation of and concern about disputes over public truth claims. There was a lot of that going on with C19. The term's academic development refers to the theories and research that explain the historically specific causes and the effects of the phenomenon. In the United States, Donald Trump has been characterized as engaged in a war on truth, which is interesting, right? Because they say that it's just Donald Trump who's engaged in a war on truth. But I would say, for the most part, when it comes to a quote unquote alleged war on truth, any political faction, non-government organization, right, or even culture, business, are engaged in wars against truth. Let me ask y'all this question. If you all know any current wars against truth that are going on right now, let us know about them in the comment section. Maybe my content is a war against truth. I don't think that it is, but We live in the post-truth era. You know what I'm saying? While the term was used in phrases like post-truth politics, academically and publicly before 2016, Oxford dictionaries popularly defined it as relating to and denoting circumstances in which objective facts are far less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal belief. Has anybody witnessed anything like that at all, ever? Maybe, possibly, here on YouTube? Nah, never that. What are some situations that you all have come in contact with where this particular dynamic is blatantly obvious and apparent? Or if you haven't ever come in contact with a situation like this, then let me know. Okay? We're going to go back over that part real quick. While the term was used in phrases like post-truth politics, academically and publicly before 2016, Oxford dictionaries popularly defined it as relating to and denoting circumstances in which objective facts are less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal belief. Let me ask you guys this question. Can anybody name some debatable facts? What are facts that we're currently, quote unquote, debating right now in today's world? Shout out to Nisi for being a bot enforcer. What are some facts that we're debating in today's world? We see facts debated on social media all the time. We see facts debated on YouTube all the time. Things going on overseas, the war in Gaza, like I said, C-19, Biden versus Trump, gender war. What else? Got to be more, or else this wouldn't have became the Oxford 2016 word of the year. In 2016, the term was named word of the year by Oxford dictionaries after the term's proliferation in the election of President Trump in the United States and the Brexit referendum in the United Kingdom. Oxford Dictionary further notes that post-truth was often used as an adjective to signal a distinct kind of politics. All right. Some scholars argue that post-truth has similarities with moral, epistemic, and political debates about relativism, postmodernity, and dishonesty in politics. Others insist that the post-truth is specifically concerned with 21st century communication technologies and cultural practices. What kind of 21st century technologies and cultural practices? You think it could be talking about, I don't know, the internet? You think it could be talking about social media? You think it could be talking about streaming services, instant information, on-demand information, AI algorithms that funnel people their own personal echo chamber based on X's and Y's of their preferences of information to reaffirm their confirmation biases? Is that what that could possibly be? Or are we talking about something else? Shout out to Flatback Lives Matter. Okay? These are questions that we got to answer, especially going into a political season, if politics matters as much as we say that it does. Post-truth politics. So if we know what the definition of post-truth politics is, and we know what the definition of post-truth is, what is post-truth politics? That should be pretty easy, right? Post-truth politics would be political engagements where appeals to emotion matter more than fact. Let me ask you guys this question. Would you say 60 years of voting Democrat is an appeal to emotion or fact? What do you guys think? Pretty easy question, right? Yeah, I would agree. If you guys agree with Miss Nisi, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with Miss Nisi, give me a thumbs down. Now, here goes the question. Why would that be? Why would that be emotion? What factual information has supported undying loyalty to the Democrats? What facts can somebody take and say, these are the factual reasons of why I supported Democrats? Can anybody do that? I'm sure there might be some people that can do it. But those would be people that were actually invested to the point where they researched, saw specific things that they wanted, and voted based on those specific things. Not just people that put a mark on a piece of paper because they have been doing it in their family as a tradition forever, right? So we're talking about two different situations here. You know what I'm saying? Post-truth politics, which some commentators prefer to call as post-factual politics. That would mean after facts, right? Or post-reality politics. That would mean after reality. Amidst varying academic and dictionary definitions of the term, refer to a recent historical period where political culture is marked by public anxiety about what claims can be publicly accepted as fact. Where are we having some public anxiety at in regards to these terms and how they're accepted as fact? Would LGBTQ have anything to do with that? Would there be anything in common there? Is that one of these type of topics? It suggests that the public, not scientific or philosophical distinction between truth and falsity, as well as honesty and lying, have become a focal concern of public life and are viewed by popular commentators and academic researchers alike as having a consequential role in how politics operates in the early 21st century. It is regarded as especially being influenced by the arrival of new communication and media technologies, okay? Popularized as a term in news media and dictionary definition, post-truth has developed from a shorthand label for the abundance and influence of misleading or false political claims into a concept empirically studied and theorized by academic research. Let me ask you guys this question. Would the claim Trump is relatable to black people because he has a felony, would that be post-truth politics? Shout out to Karen Dorsey. Would that be post-truth politics? Shout out to Kareem. What's good with you, bro? If that's post-truth politics, give me a thumbs up. If that's not post-truth politics, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell yet, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Okay? Oxford Dictionaries declared that it is the International Word of the Year in 2016, and it was post-truth, citing a 20-fold increase in usage compared to 2015, and noted that it was commonly associated with the noun post-truth politics. All right. Since post-truth politics are primarily known through public truth statements in specific media context, such as commentary on major broadcasting networks, podcasts, YouTube videos, and social media, it is especially studied as a media and communications studied phenomenon with particular forms of truth-telling, including intentional rumors, lies, conspiracy theory, and fake news. Okay? Yeah, shout out to Kareem. That's associating criminality with black people. Facts. Big facts. Okay? In the context of media and news, it often involves the manipulation of information or the spread of misinformation to shape public perceptions and advance political agendas. Deceptive communication, disinformation, rumor bombs, and fake news have mass communication error antecedents in both war and security, which is called gray propaganda, and commercial communication, advertising, and public relations. All can be said to be forms of strategic communication and not mere accidental or innocent misstatements of facts. Deceptive political communication is timeless. However, distrust is major. Distrust in major social institutions, political parties, government, news, media, and social media, along with the fact that anyone today can create and circulate content that has a generic characteristic of news, creates the conditions of post-truth politics. So now, how does that work? That's my question for you guys. How does that work? Let me ask you guys this. Have you all ever found yourself engaging in post-truth politics? You're watching something on TV and you realize that you're in an echo chamber and you're getting fed a loop of incorrect information and there's nobody countering the information? Has that ever happened to anybody? If that's ever happened to you, give me a thumbs up. If it hasn't happened to you, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. All can be said to be forms of strategic communications and not mere accidental or innocent misstatements of facts. Deceptive political communication is timeless. However, distrust in major social institutions, political parties, government, news media, and social media, along with the fact that anyone today can create and circulate content that has generic characteristics of news, which is fake news, creates the conditions for post-truth politics. Distrust is also politically polarized, where those identifying with one political party dislike and don't trust those of another. So we could say that would be true with Democrats and Republicans. We can also say that that would be true with males and females when it comes to the gender war content. Right? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. For this reason, some scholars have argued that post-truth does not refer to a sense that all facts are irrelevant, but to a public anxiety about the status of publicly accepted facts on which democracy can function. All right. So that's post-truth politics. Now, my question for you guys is the LGBTQ issue. Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. What's good with it? The LGBTQ issue and some of the studies and some of the things that allegedly, quote unquote, validate this concept of LGBTQ, trans, and all of this. Is that post-truth politics, or are those things that are grounded in factual information? What's going on there? So we're going to ask the question, what is a woman? All right. And I'm going to ask you guys that question. What is a woman? Define a woman. Now, how much does the definition matter? How much do definitions matter? Do definitions mean anything these days or no? Here go the definition of a woman right here. A woman is an adult female human. Before adulthood, a woman is referred to as a girl. All right. Why is there so much debate over this? Why is this where we are in 2024? With debate over the concept of what a woman is, when this is a very, very elementary, very, very simple concept to understand. Right. Shout out to AJ. We really got to ask that question. Right. We shouldn't have to. But for whatever reason, because of political motivations and other things, for some reason, we do. You know what I'm saying? For some reason, we do. Typically, women are of the female sex and inherit a pair of X chromosomes, one from each parent. And fertile women are capable of pregnancy and giving birth from puberty until menopause, right? More generally, sex differentiation of the female fetus is governed by a lack of a present or functioning SRY gene on either one of the reproductive sex chromosomes. Female anatomy is distinguished from male anatomy by a female reproductive system, which includes ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, vagina, and a vulva. An adult woman generally has a wider pelvis, broader hips, and larger breasts than an adult man. These characteristics facilitate childbirth and breastfeeding. Women typically have less facial hair and other body hair and have a higher body fat composition and are on average shorter and less muscular than men. Now, here's my question. Does that matter? See, do definitions matter or no? Do these definitions matter? Throughout human history, traditional gender roles within societies have often defined and limited women's activities and opportunities, resulting in gender inequality. Now, let me ask y'all this question. What's the difference between gender and sex? That's my question. Shout out to AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show AB Promotions some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for AB Promotions, keeping me from being like this.
I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
Make sure y'all show AB some love.
Why are you gay?
All right. So we gotta answer these questions. These, if you ask me, these are very simple and very basic questions. You know what I'm saying? Throughout human history, traditional gender roles within society have often defined and limited women's activities and opportunities, resulting in gender inequality. Many religious doctrines and legal systems stipulate certain rules for women. Anybody want to take a crack at naming any of those? With restrictions loosening during the 20th century in many societies, women have gained wider access to careers and the ability to pursue higher education. Violence against women, whether within families or in communities, has a long history and is primarily committed by men. Some women are denied reproductive rights. The movement and ideologies of feminism have a shared goal of achieving gender equality. Does it seem like that's what's going on with feminism? Achieving gender equality? If it seems like that's what's going on, then give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't seem what's going on, then give me a thumbs down. But that seems like what's going on, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on. Now, here they go into what we're going to be talking about, because this is where some of the debate comes up. Trans women. Now, this is what I need somebody in the comment section to do. Explain trans women. Someone explain trans women. Trans women have a gender identity that does not align with their quote-unquote sex assignment. Assigned male at birth. How do you have a sex assignment? So are we saying that your chromosomal arrangement is what causes your sex quote-unquote assignment? If that's the case, is that actually an assignment? While intersex women may have characteristics that do not fit typical notions of female biology. Okay? So now we're going to go down here to sexuality and gender. Female sexuality and attraction are variable, and a woman's sexual behavior can be affected by many factors, including evolved predispositions, personality, upbringing, and culture. While most women are heterosexual, significant minorities are homosexual or bisexual. Most cultures use a gender binary in which woman is one of the two genders, the other being man. Most women are quote unquote cisgender, and their identity aligns with their female sex assignment at birth. So I want you guys to understand when it comes to gender identity, right? A gender identity, the way that they're defining gender identity is a person's perception of how they see the sex of their personality. Gender identity does not necessarily have to do with your chromosomal sex build, if that makes sense. Okay. And we're going to shout out to Snuggles. We're going to actually look at that. All right. We're going to actually look at that. So the important thing to understand is how they twist the definitions around. Okay. As long as you have a good grip and a good understanding on what the definitions are, in most cases, you'll be able to keep up with conversations about this kind of stuff. Which I think people should be more verbal about, because closed mouths don't get fed, and then closed mouths open to complain that they're not being fed. We have a lot of that dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So what's the difference between gender identity and sex assignment? Most cultures use a gender binary in which women is one of the two genders and the other is a man. Most women are cisgender. All right. Cisgender means that your gender self-identity perception is the same and aligned with your chromosomal sexual assignment. All right. Does that make sense? Shout out to Unsunken One. If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, then give me a thumbs down. And you're going to see why. Because using all of these terms ultimately debunk themselves and bring it back to the same argument. Because let me ask you this question. If your personality is that you're a bad person, does that change your gender? Does that change your sex? No, it doesn't. It's just your personality. So if you have a personality that matches with the personality of a woman, does that change your sex? No. So now are we supposed to be identified by what we actually are in reality, which would be our chromosomal sexual makeup? Or are we supposed to be identified as how we wish to self-identify? Where do we draw the line at? This is where you get into that realm of quote unquote post-truth politics. Now, when is the last time you guys saw anybody actually talking about this kind of stuff? We're going to be doing a stream in a little bit talking about Charlemagne, because Charlemagne is the representative that white people have chosen for black people. You know what I'm saying? But now my question is, like, when it comes to the DEI community and the left community and the liberal community and all of the terms that white people want to lump us up in, who has actually given any type of academic statements, opinions, rebuttals, or affirmations of any of this kind of stuff? Who's been the spokesperson and said anything? So again, let me ask you guys this question. Is it dangerous for people to allow the white media to just run around and say that, you know, this is part of our identity, this is what we identify with, this is what we support? Is that safe and normal? Now, here's the thing. If you do, right, then it is, right? But do 100% of us identify as this? I highly doubt it. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. What's good with it, Brooklyn Queen? And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 31 people watching and we got 24 likes. If everybody could take a moment, bang on that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please hit the bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right. So now check this out. It's been deemed as hate speech if you say that people have these issues as a result of a quote-unquote psychological disorder, right? Would you guys agree? But now, as we read further in the text, most women are cisgender and their gender identity aligns with their female sex assignment at birth. Trans women have a female gender identity that does not align with their male assignment at birth and may experience gender dysphoria. Now, what is gender dysphoria? As you can see, the definition popped up right there. Gender dysphoria is the distress a person experiences due to a mismatch between their gender identity and their personal sense of their own gender and their sex assigned at birth. So the sex assigned at birth is still very relevant. It's still important. It still matters. While we're sitting there acting like it doesn't matter and it's just replaceable and we can just self-identify, as you can see, it is still imperative and part of the definition. Okay? Shout out to Patrick Tyler. What's good with it, bro? All right. Gender dysphoria may be treated with gender affirming care. Transgender health care includes prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of physical and mental health conditions, as well as quote unquote gender affirming care for transgender individuals. A major component of transgender health care is gender affirming care, the medical aspect of gender transition. How do you get a surgery to change your personality? How do you do that? How does that make sense? How does that happen? Where do you put the first incision at? Because as you guys can see here, clearly the gender identity is part of your personality. Gender identity does not have to do with your biology. Sex assignment has to do with your biology. So why they call this is called gender affirming surgery, but you're changing you're not even changing your sex assignment because it's impossible to change your sex assignment. You're doing a biological surgical manipulation of your body that does not change your sex assignment, but makes your body appear to match your gender identity. Okay? Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If that doesn't make sense, then give me a thumbs down. This is important, all right? Gender dysphoria may be treated with gender affirming care, which may include social or medical transition. Social transition may involve changes such as adopting a new name, hairstyle, clothing, and pronoun associated with the individual's affirmed female gender identity. A major component of medical transition for trans women is feminizing hormone therapy, which causes the development of female secondary sex characteristics such as breasts, redistribution of body fat. I hope it doesn't like demonetize my video for that pop-up, and lower waist hip ratio. Medical transition may also involve gender affirming surgery, and a trans woman may undergo one or more feminizing procedures which result in anatomy that is typically gendered female. Like cisgender women, trans women may have any sexual orientation. Now, again, what is sexual orientation? That's the L, the G, the T, the B, and the Q. Right? Shout out to Esquire. Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with y'all? Right? All right, so we got that, right? Everybody following so far? This is what a woman is. A woman. A woman is an adult human female. Okay? An adult human female. So female is the important definition, right? An organism's sex is female if it produces the ovum, the type of gamete that fuses with the male gamete during sexual reproduction. How do you change whether someone is a female or not? That cannot be changed. Would you all agree? If you guys agree that someone's status as a female, according to this definition, cannot be changed because this is based on what kind of sexual cells you reproduce, you produce, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to define what a female is. All right. Now, here's my question for you guys. I need you guys in the comment section to define what a female is. Female. Okay. Female. An organism's sex is female if it produces the ovum, eggshell, and the type of gamete, which is a sex cell, that fuses with the male gamete during sexual reproduction. Okay. So female is determined based on production of ovum, all right, and whether the cell that's produced fuses with a male cell. So these are cellular characteristics, all right. How do you get around these when trying to redefine somebody? Shout out to Patrick Tyler. Make sure y'all show Patrick some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Patrick for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Silence! Silence! I ain't got no money, pa.
All right. Oh, my bad. Patrick said, I have financial dysphoria. Will I get government policy? Right. And here's the question when it comes to us, because we're dealing with the racial wealth gap that we deal with, is it actually dysphoria or is it reality? I would actually say we're dealing with reality. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says a female has larger gametes than a male. Females and males are results of anisogamous reproductive system, wherein gametes are different sizes, unlike isogamy, where they are the same size. The exact mechanism of female gamete evolution remains unknown. Okay, so now people that make these claims, like Princella, that makes these claims that there was a time when women were just reproducing and just, you know what I'm saying, asexually doing cell division and creating men out of the clear blue sky. According to this right here, it says that that's false. That's pseudoscience. The exact mechanism of female gamete evolution remains unknown. So if the exact mechanism of female gamete evolution remains unknown, how does a YouTuber know it? How does a YouTuber with an alleged bachelor's degree in biology know it? A bachelor's degree in biology, didn't even do like a dissertation or a PhD on this. Okay. So now here it says, in the species that have males and females, sex determination may be based on either sex chromosomes or environmental conditions. Most female mammals, including female humans, have two X chromosomes. Characteristics of organisms with a female sex vary between different species, having different female reproductive systems, with some species showing characteristics secondary to the reproductive systems, as with mammary glands in mammals. In humans, the word female can also be used to refer to gender in the social sense of gender role or gender identity. Okay. So now the next thing that we got to look at before we get into the video is gender identity. So again, what's the difference between gender identity and sex assigned at birth, quote unquote, chromosomal sex assignment? All right. Because the problem is that because of the way that society is nowadays, if you actually have a detailed conversation about this kind of stuff, this is called hate speech. This is called hate speech. This is called against YouTube guidelines. This is called, quote unquote, violence against certain groups of people. And it's not. Okay? There's no violence being encouraged here. Nobody's getting hurt here. Nobody's telling anybody to go hurt anybody here. Okay? Gender identity. Who came up with this term of gender identity? Gender identification redirects here for the process of determining sex of a human. See sex assignment. So we'll look at sex assignment too. For the process of determining sex of an individual animal, see sexting. Gender identity is the personal sense of one's own gender. All right, so that's it. That's what the gender identity is. It's a personal sense of one's own gender. So is that a situation where it's I feel? Is that a situation of it's my truth? My truth is that I have a beard, but I want you to call me Allison. That's my truth. Is that consistent with reality? It doesn't have to be consistent with reality because it's my truth. Sounds like post-truth era to me. Sounds like post-truth era. How is there a such thing as the truth if everyone has their own truth? How is there such thing as the truth if everyone has their own truth? This is my truth. This is my truth of my coming to be. If everybody has their own truth, what is the truth? You can't have only one truth, only one objective reality, but then everybody has their own separate objective reality. That can't happen. That can't be, right? So where are we at in 2024? What is the state of the human condition in 2024? Using science to validate certain biological phenomenon used to be acceptable as validation of information and fact. Clearly, not so much anymore. So how do we validate anything anymore? See, now, do you guys see the problem where a post-truth society takes us? Do you see the rabbit hole that we're going down? Gender identity is the personal sense of one's own gender. What other kind of personal senses do you all have? Do you all have a personal sense of pride? Do you have a personal sense of work ethic? I need everybody to tell me what kind of personal senses do you all have? Okay. Gender identity can correlate with a person's assigned sex, or it can differ from it. Assigned sex. What this basically means is chromosomal arrangement. It's not an assigned sex. Nobody checked the box. You either you have a pair of chromosomes, an XX and an XY, and there's nobody that made that assignment except for the math that's created when the combination of the sperm and the egg occur. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Gender identity can correlate with a person's assigned sex, or it can differ from it. In most individuals, various biological determinants of sex are congruent and consistent with the individual's gender identity. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Let's just say a vehicle was produced as a sports car, but for some reason that sport, let's say for instance, a Corvette came off of the assembly line. But for some reason, even though this Corvette has like a 500 horsepower engine, it's got low pro tires, you know what I'm saying? It's got pipes, loud as hell. For some reason, unbeknownst to us, this Corvette just happens to feel like a SUV. Just happens to feel like an SUV. If that Corvette decided to say, I'm not going to live my life as a sports car, despite the fact that I am a sports car, the parts of me that are a sports car, I'm going to fix. I'm going to take off these low pros and I'm going to get some big traction wheels. I'm going to take off this custom grill in the front and I'm going to put a snow plow on there. How would that Corvette's life go? That's my question for you guys. Seriously. And I mean, that's a serious question. You know what I'm saying? Then it's a El Camino. Facts. Then it wants to be a Cutlass. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Esquire. Make sure you guys show Esquire some love. He's the third stream sponsor.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch.
Esquire says, Jindet multiverse. Yeah. Yeah. So now here's my question. The scenario that I just presented. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Is it? Is it? Is it really ridiculous, or is it literally exactly the same thing as what we're talking about here? Shout out to We Lit. What's good with it, bro? Is it ridiculous? Or is it similar? Gender identity is the personal sense of one's own gender. Gender identity can correlate with a person's assigned sex. Now, let me ask you guys a question. There's other situations like this. There's a situation called anorexia. When you have anorexia, you identify that you're overweight. Same thing with bulimia. But there's no surgery that changes. See, because say for instance, you're skinny, right? You look like extremely thin, but you keep making yourself throw up because when you look at yourself in the mirror, there's a dysmorphia. There's no surgery that makes you stop throwing up. What happens in that situation is that you have to face reality. You have to go see a counselor, and that counselor has to tell you your weight and your appearance are consistent and they match. Then you have to reorientate yourself to reality. So why is it that in certain dysphoria situations, surgery is required for reorientation, but in other dysmorphia situations, surgery is not a requirement? Or it's not part of the plan of therapy. It's not part of the plan of care. Why is that? Seriously. Usually people are very opinionated on these kind of topics. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 32 people watching. We got 35 likes. If everybody can bang on the like button and get us to 60, that'd be great. Usually people are pretty opinionated on these kind of topics. You know what I'm saying? Not so much today, seems like. Gender identity can correlate with a person's assigned sex, or it can differ from it. In most individuals, various biological determinants of sex are congruent and consistent with the individual's gender identity. Gender expression reflects a person's gender identity, but this is not always the case. While a person may express behaviors, attitudes, and appearances consistent with a particular gender role, such expression may not necessarily reflect their quote-unquote gender identity. The term gender identity was coined by psychiatry professor Robert J. Stoller in 1964 and was popularized by psychologist John Money. I would advise people to look into these people, Robert J. Stoller and John Money. You know what I'm saying? I would advise people to look into those people who feel invested in this type of, conversation. Okay. In most societies, there's a basic division between gender attributes associated with males and females, a gender binary to which most people adhere, which includes expectations of masculinity and femininity in all aspects of sex and gender, biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. Some people do not identify with some or all of the aspects of gender associated with their biological sex. Some of these people are transgender, non-binary, or genderqueer. Some societies have third gender categories. Does anybody know a society that has a third gender category? Anybody in here aware of any third gender category societies? Because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But if anybody does, you know what I'm saying, let us know. In 2012, the book Introduction to Behavioral Science and Medicine says that with exceptions, gender identity develops surprisingly rapidly in the early childhood years, and in the majority of instances appears to become at least partially irreversible by the ages of 3 or 4. So now what's up with all these adults that are quote unquote coming out of the closet? What's up with all these adults that are coming out of the closet? Shout out to Torian. Torian said, I heard about that so-called third gender in my sociology class. Now, the only third, quote-unquote, sex that I'm aware of is like a hermaphrodite. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DSA. But now, as far as like any of this other stuff, I don't know. The Endocrine Society has stated considerable scientific evidence has emerged that demonstrating a durable biological element underlying gender identity. Individuals may make choices due to other factors in their lives, but there do not seem to be external forces that genuinely cause individuals to change gender identity. This is coming from the Endocrine Society. So again, we got to ask this question, do facts matter? This is something that a scientific society has come to the conclusion of, but it's being rejected by mainstream society and by the government. So again, my question is, does any of it, does any definition matter? Does fact matter at all? Is this misogyny? Is this transphobia? What form of hate speech would you all qualify this live stream under? Social constructivists argue that gender identity, or the way it is expressed, are socially constructed, determined by cultural and social influence. Constructivism of this type is not necessarily incompatible with the existence of an innate gender identity, since it may be the expression of that gender that varies by culture. Okay. So if you all want to, at some point, we could go deeper into that. Not necessary at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Next thing we're going to do is talk about quote unquote sex assignment. So now when it comes to quote unquote sex assignment, anytime anybody has any kind of debate involving LGBTQ, never debate on the basis of gender identity. Only ever debate on the basis of chromosomal sexual assignment, ever. Okay? Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make sense, then give me a thumbs down. Sex assignment. All right? Sex assignment is also known as gender assignment. How? Sex and gender aren't the same thing. Gender is a psychological element, personality element. Sex is a biological determinant. Why are sex assignment and gender assignment listed as synonymous? We literally just went through all this. And so as of right now, we've already run into a problem. We're getting told in this article that two terms that we just looked at that have completely different definitions, one being derived from a cellular level and the other being derived from a psychological level, are interchangeable terms. How so? How so? But now, if you say that and you're debating somebody, what somebody will do is just continue to repeat a talking point until you give in on the talking point, which is why it's important to make sure that you have antidotes for any talking point, because all talking points can be diffused, which is one of the reasons why they're moving into the post-truth era. Factual, data-driven information cannot be refuted unless new conflicting data, provable data, is found. YouTube talking points, repeated talking points, none of that matters in the face of data unless those talking points are solely and objectively based in data, which they never are. They never are. Okay? Sex assignment, also known as gender assignment, is the discernment of an infant's sex, usually at birth, based on an inspection of the baby's external genitalia by a relative, midwife, nurse, or physician. Sex is assigned without ambiguity in 99.95% of births. In the remaining cases, which would be 1 in 2,000, additional diagnostic steps are required and sex assignment is deferred. Sex may also be determined prior to birth through prenatal sex discernment. Okay? Now, I want you to see down here terminology. Sex assignment, the discernment of an infant's sex at birth. The discernment. Now, the discernment is different from the assignment, right? Discernment is discovery. Assignment is designation, right? So we have some definition issues here. Shout out to Carlton Way. We have some definition issues here. Okay? And what you guys may or may not come in contact with is that when people want to debate these kind of topics, the tactics that they'll use is they will try to play around with these definitions. And the issue when it comes to this kind of stuff is that in many cases, most people really aren't too interested in actually understanding and arming themselves with the information that's necessary to be able to disarm definition manipulation or definition swapping. And then you end up looking stupid. You know what I'm saying? So I think we got the foundation out of the way. All right. We got the foundation out of the way. So now what we about to do is now we about to take a look at this clip from the Hodge twins podcast. And we're going to look at the Hodge twins debate with Destiny on what a woman is. And again, my question for everybody is, why is this even a debate? Why is this a debate? As unimportant as people think this is, the political party that everybody likes to designate to us, they support this. Which means that when they use dog whistles, in regards to this kind of stuff, they're talking about us. You know what I'm saying?
Time for twins, boy. Yeah. What, like, just on the transgender thing.
Yeah.
What is a woman to you?
What? Fuck, that's a really complicated question.
Man, come on, man.
That's an insanely fucking complicated question.
So what a woman is an insanely complicated question to Destiny. Which is interesting because he had that girlfriend and he wasn't confused about whether she was a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It was pretty easy. That was his girlfriend. Right? I mean, he literally identified her as that in most cases when they described each other. So he wasn't confused in that situation. Now, let me ask you all this question. What's complicated about what is a female? What is a woman? What's complicated about that? Why is that complicated? Why is that a difficult? Why is that complex? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ryan Glenn. What's good with it, bro? Yeah, I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Lewis, it's a very simple question. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, mind you, as simple of a question as it is, a sitting Supreme Court justice was unable to answer it.
Yeah.
Without diving too deep in all this dumbass shit. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Take it easy.
If I tell you a thing, okay. In philosophy, there's a thing called a qualia. Okay, so like, what is it like to experience something? Okay, behind you is a red curtain. If you've never seen the color red before, and I say, there's a red curtain behind you, I can never actually express what that qualia is to you. You're not going to know unless you experience it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that we experience, and when we have two,
That's not true. Also, there's a numerical representation of red because red is based on the frequency of light that's reflected off of a surface. So even if you can't see red, there's a range of numbers of megahertz or gigahertz or whatever that represent the distance between the peak on each wave that determine whether it's a red shifted color or a blue shifted color. So even if you're not able to see it, there are mathematical definitions that will determine mathematically what represents red versus what represents another color, which makes it unnecessary for you to be able to see if you're able to utilize those calculations. There's multiple definitions. So automatically, that's not sufficient, if you ask me. Automatically, that's not sufficient. And now here's my question. Do we have to test everything like that? So if we have to literally test everything like that, then standardized, accepted definitions without significant research and scientific process applied, I mean, we could just change any definition to whatever, and we could just say, well, that's just a definition. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. What are the rules and standards of what we're accepting as an acceptable definition versus what can be variable versus what won't? Shout out to Caldona. Caldona said red is expressed as RGB 255, 0, 0. Facts. There's a 0-1 combination that represents red. There's a wavelength combination that represents red. There's a position on the electromagnetic spectrum that represents red. The only reason why we see red and experience red how we do is because we detect it through our eyes. Shout out to Shatira. And our eyes detect it through reflection off of a surface. That's different than the way bats detect red.
two brains, okay? I can never send you an idea. I can't do it. It's impossible because our brains are separate. So what I do is I speak a word, and when I say something, I hope that you have an experience that maps onto that. So when I say like, oh, this blanket is really soft, you might think soft like, oh, like a dog or a kitty cat or a pillow. You've got other experiences that map onto it, right? For all of the language that we use, when we say words, there's a whole bunch of associated concepts that like pop up when we say those words. Now, they might not map cleanly onto some universal, Platonistic form of a thing. So for instance, when I say table and I tell you to define a table, you can never give me a definition that encompasses all tables and excludes all things that aren't tables, right? Do they always have 4 legs? Does this one have 4 legs? Does it have one? Is it something you can sit on?
So again, my question is, what does any of this matter? We have an acceptable standard of what we verify as fact versus what we verify as not fact. And shout out to Esquire. Esquire says Destiny is too intelligent to not know what a woman is. He's just pandering to the current social thinking. My thing is, if you don't know what a woman is, then clearly you lack that element of intelligence to be able to discern what a woman is, or to be able to discern society's acceptable standard of what guideline definitions are that lead to certain meanings. Like, here's the thing, right? If this was a test, and because you're too smart and you overthink the question and you get it wrong, or if you don't know how to read and you get it wrong, you're going to get the same grade on it and you failed the test. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shatira. Shatira says, look, MF no red when they see it. I'm not going to argue and say, no, it's green. Right. Right. Shout out to Shatira again. Shatira says the crazy part is there is no ambiguity about men regardless of the social climate. Facts. Shout out to Ryan Glenn. Now see, and shout out to Ryan Glenn. This is why it's important to always, when you have these kind of debates, always keep the focus on chromosomal sexual assignment. Chromosomal sexual assignment. When you get into the realms of gender identity and blah, 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 yada, 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 now you're going into this weird realm of where Destiny can come with all of this anecdotal nonsense. Chromosomal gender assignment only. Chromosomal sex assignment only. Anytime you have a debate or a conversation about gender, always try to eliminate the use of the word gender as often as you possibly can. Try to suffocate the use of that word. Because when you use that word, that is where the wiggle room comes in for the definitions to be manipulated. You know what I'm saying? So now my question is, out of everything that Destiny's saying right here, what is he saying to build an argument? What's making sense? Is he saying anything that's making sense, or is he just saying a lot of fast talk, being the left-leaning Ben Shapiro to just try to sound intelligent and high-pitched, and maybe somebody will just buy him a pass? Which one? What's going on here?
Or not, like, it's really complicated. So when you say, like, well, what is like a woman? Well, when you say woman, depending on the context, it lights up a whole bunch of concepts. So woman, they tend to dress a certain way. They tend to have certain hair. They tend to exhibit certain like characteristics. They tend to
no. Those are adjectives. Those are not defining characteristics. A woman can have long hair. A man can have long hair. A woman can have black hair. A man can have black hair. Like, men don't have straight hair and women have curly hair. Like, that's not how that works. Women and men don't have a quote unquote certain kind of hair. There are certain kind of styles that women and men can get. And even those styles in today's society, in many cases, are interchangeable. Shout out to Jake Stars. Welcome to the stream. Okay. So now my question is, out of everything that Destiny is saying here, what is he saying that's supporting his argument? Which his argument is that, well, this is very complicated. Well, yeah, you're supporting your argument because you're complicating things, but you're not really addressing the actual issue. What is a woman is not a difficult question to answer. We literally just answered it very cleanly with all of those articles that we just read. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Shatira. Shatira said a woman can shave off all of her hair and wear men's clothes and still be a woman. Facts. She still produces an egg. A woman is an adult human female. Females are organisms that produce a female gamete that a male gamete inserts itself into, which is an egg. No matter how you dress, no matter what you wear, no matter what you get cut off or attached, you're not going to be able to produce an egg. You also will not be able to produce a DNA test that shows an XX chromosome. There's nothing that you'll be able to ever do about that. Shout out to Esquire. Esquire says he does know. He knows the science. He's just offering a word salad argument based on feeling disguised as facts. Now, here goes my thing. When he presents with the science, then I'll believe that he believes or understands the science. You know what I'm saying? But until I see him present with the science, right now, what I see is him trying to equate the definition of a woman to experiencing red. Shout out to Terrence. What's good with it, bro? You know what I'm saying? I until something is proven to me, I will never give that something the benefit of existence until it's proven. So as of right now, as I'm watching this debate, I don't have any proof that Destiny understands science, because if he understood science, in my opinion, he would have scientifically defined what a woman is instead of talking about curtains. You know what I'm saying? So we might hear about Destiny's logic or scientific understanding later on down the line. But if you're not applying the information that you know or that you claim to know in order to solve problems, which is what that information is there and stored for, the question is do you really understand how to use that information? That would be my question. What do you guys think about that? So let's see what else they say. Shout out to Shatira. Shatira said, I thought we had commonly accepted identifying factors, XX, vag, menstruation. Those are sexual assignment identifying factors. Those are sexual assignment identifying factors. This is why it's very important to make sure that you always keep the focus on sexual assignment. Because then when you get into gender identification is simply what that person identifies as. And if their gender identification is not the same as what their sexual assignment is, that's when you get into the issues. You see what I'm saying? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If that don't make sense, give me a thumbs down.
To have certain body parts, they tend to have certain, right? So a woman, it really kind of depends on the circumstance, right? Like if I'm in a, let's say that
now he said a woman depends on the circumstance. That's not what the definition said. The definition said that a woman is an adult human female. And an adult human female is determined by what kind of reproductive cells that organism can produce. Where's the confusion? Where are we lost at? What is it that we don't understand?
And excludes all things that aren't tables, right? Do they always have four legs? Does one have four legs? Is it one? Is it something you can sit on or not? Like, it's really complicated. So when you say, like, well, what is like a woman? Well, when you say woman.
So, I mean, we can actually take this apart, right? Because he said, well, it's complicated to define what a table is. That's if you don't look at what the standard definition of a table is. There's a lot of different definitions of a table. And all you have to do is just use a definition. Now, you know, a table can also be like a multiplication table. That's not a table that you sit something on. That's a row of numbers that shows the answers and setup for a bunch of problems, right? But those are definitions 1 and 2. Table. A table is a piece of furniture with a flat top and one or more legs. So his idea of, well, is it 4 legs? Is it 1? That's already satisfied in the definition. One or more legs, because a surface just can't float in the environment that we have. We have the understanding and the idea of gravity. So the surface can't float here on Earth. So it's got to have some type of support, which would be 1 or more legs, providing a level surface on which objects may be placed that can be used for such purposes as eating, writing, working, and playing games. A set of facts or figures systematically displayed, especially in columns. Like I said, like a times table. I mean, these are very clear, very crisp definitions. There's really not all of this debate that's necessary. I mean, I guess if you wanted to make a debate, you could debate anything, but where would the debate go? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Biggest Mac. What's good with it? And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. We got 44 people watching. We got 43 likes. Y'all got the 1-to-1 ratio popping off. That's what's good. Let's try to get them likes to 80. Uh-oh, hold on real quick. My bad. Now, what I want you guys to do is he giving adjectives to describe a woman, or is he actually giving female characteristics? A female characteristic is that you have a female reproduction system and you have the ability to produce female gametes. Those are female characteristics. The characteristics that he's talking about are quote unquote appearance characteristics. And appearance characteristics can describe anyone. I can't describe anyone if I say that person produces eggs. I can't do that. I could say this person got long hair. This person got purple hair. This person got blue hair. I could say that about somebody that's a male or a female. I can't point at a male and say that person produces gametes, eggs. I can't do that. That's not a true statement. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Like, this isn't that this should not be this difficult.
You say, like, well, what is like a woman? Well, when you say woman, depending on the context, it lights up a whole bunch of concepts. So woman, they tend to dress a certain way. They tend to have certain hair. They tend to exhibit certain like characteristics. They tend to have certain body parts. They tend to have certain, right? So a woman, it really kind of depends on the circumstance, right? Like if I'm in let's say that I'm in school, right? Yeah. And I'm like a grade schooler and somebody says, oh, a woman just walked by. Well, in that case, you're probably speaking more to age than like genitals or whatever, right? Because you're like, oh, a woman, oh shit, like Mrs. Whoever.
I think when a woman, when somebody said that,
of course they're speaking to age, because part of the definition is adult, which means it's not an adolescent, adult human female. So of course age is considered. So again, these are not concepts like let me ask you guys this. Everything that Destiny has said so far that's just complicated and complex and we can't figure it out, hasn't that literally all been spelled out in the definition? Like, what has been outside of the definition that's confusing? Literally everything that he said has been satisfied wholly, fully, and completely by the existing definition. Shout out to Esquire. Esquire says he knows the science doesn't support his worldview, so he will sway from it. Common legal strategy. Ignore facts when disadvantages your argument. Yeah, I'd agree. Now, let me shout out to you, Esquire. Let me ask you this. Does that sound similar to a post-truth political environment, a post-truth era environment, where because he's more emotionally attached to his ideas of liberalism than the objective reality of the biological science that he's denying, facts in this case to Destiny do not matter? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shatera. Shatera says, so essentially, who is arguing to include how people feel as opposed to what their genetic makeup is? Yeah, he is. Yeah. Now, again, mind you, that's if you allow the term gender in there. If you allow gender in there, you've opened up to where the psychological way that you see yourself can be used to define whether there's dysphoria or not. If you keep the debate focused and do not allow wiggle room outside of chromosomal sexual assignment, he can't get that argument off. He cannot get that argument off. That argument only exists when you open the Pandora's box and slip up and say gender. You know what I'm saying?
Tits and a vagina.
Sure, maybe, but like you might meet somebody.
No, not maybe. A woman walks by and someone say, "Oh, she's got tits and a vagina."
But not you're associating behaviors way more. When you see somebody in a store and you identify them as a man or a woman, you're never seeing their genitals. You have no fucking idea. You don't know if they're
I can
dick or
totally
pussy.
look at you and I can tell you're a guy. Yeah,
I might have the tightest binding in the fucking world on right now.
Looking at somebody at a store is not the end all be all verification of what a woman is or not. I can't look at somebody and 100% determine whether that person makes gametes or not that are eggs. I can look at what a lot of people that make gametes traditionally look like and say this person resembles somebody who does this, but the final verification, I would need a genetics test to do. So what I'm looking at does not necessarily matter for anything other than what I see on the surface. That looks like a woman. That looks like a man. That's all I need at a grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Facts. And shout out to Shatera. That doesn't mean that your identification was correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also not the end all be all identification. So he's using, well, who you see at a grocery store, that's not the only form of identification. It's not the only form of identification. You know what I'm saying? And I think that most people know and accept that. That right there is one of the, if you ask me, that's one of the fears that people have about this kind of thing. Is that because we got this thing going on, now it's going to make visual identification even a little bit more complicated. You know what I'm saying?
Hiding the 32 double D's. It's like fucking
99%. You're totally a man.
Sure, but like you're making that evaluation based on probably my voice, probably my fucking beard, but maybe shape of my body. You're not actually seeing my genitals, though. You know, or
I can tell.
you are.
I can tell you got a cock.
Yeah,
I
I have to wrap it around my leg twice to get the fucking
But again, so even though they're going down the pause, you know what I'm saying? They're going down the pause rabbit hole. Shout out to my man Mage TV. Make sure y'all throw some like enforcers in the chat for Mage enforcing those likes. Even though they're going down the pause rabbit hole, you know what I'm saying? Again, visual determination, quote unquote, and genital determination, even though that is probably a more specific determinant than visual, it's still not the end all be all. The end all be all is the ability to produce a gamete and an XX chromosome on sexual assignment. If we're talking about gender identity, what we need to actually be discussing is what creates those personality components that cause the mismatch between your psychological profile and your biological sexual profile if we're talking about gender. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Yeah, you can tell. Like, female and male is not complicated, but people overcomplicate it to fit their narrative.
You say, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but like, even when you say like people overcomplicate it, like gender and like how we express it is like, it is a pretty complicated phenomenon.
But it's so complicated that you can't even define it. That's the problem.
Well, because we typically don't.
Well, again, that's because you're using gender. See, the Hodge twins already made a mistake because they're not the brightest in the world. They allowed him to run with the gender term. Stop letting people run with the gender term. You end that, cut that off, and keep it focused on chromosomal sex assignment. Now, here's my question. Do you all see why keeping the conversation focused on chromosomal sexual assignment is so important in these types of conversations? If you guys see why that's extremely important, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see the importance of it and it doesn't make any sense or you disagree, then give me a thumbs down.
Kind of like when we use words, we don't have like strict definitions of like what a word is, and we even playfully judge.
So we don't. Now, I want to just make sure that we get this clear. So my question then is, what holds together our language system. How does anyone communicate? We don't have strict definite. What is the dictionary? What is a thesaurus? What is the class that you take when you go to school called language arts that actually shows you how to form a sentence with particular words like conjunctions, nouns, and pronouns? What are we talking about here? So definitely we operate in a complex society where we just don't have strict definitions of words. So my question is, how were the vocabulary tests graded when people were in school and they took vocabulary tests? Those definitions weren't strict. What about definitions that don't require words per se? Like, what about the definition of two? The definition of two is 1 + 1, right? Or the definition of two can be 2 divided by 1, right? So those are strict definitions. .5 times 4 equals 2. Strict definition. Now, I would agree and say that there are some words and some concepts that have loose definitions, but the majority of the words in a functional linguistic system have strict placement as well as definition. I would argue that. How can you sit here and have a conversation in a sentence if you all do not agree and accept the strict definitions of each word? If there's no such thing as strict definitions, why is it that when you go into a formal debate, one of the first things that has to be laid out are the definitions of the terms that you'll be debating? As many debates as Destiny has done, he should know that. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise said, not under Terrence Howard math. You got to deal with them, those dodecahedrons. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, though. So, I mean, like, this is what I'm saying. Are we in the post-truth era here with this? Are we in the, where are we at with this? What's going on here? Why do people have so much trouble with these debates? I don't think that people should have a difficult time with these debates. This is fairly easy stuff. Fairly easy stuff. So why do you see people struggle through this the way that you see them struggle through it? What do you guys think?
A hot dog, a sandwich, right? How crazy is it that sandwiches are things that everybody's familiar with, but you can't actually get like a strict definition of what a sandwich is? Or does cereal count as a soup? Well, yes or no. Or fucking if you're in fucking.
So you can't define a sandwich? Does cereal count as soup? Soup and cereal don't have their own strict definition? Or is it just you that doesn't know the definition and you're projecting your conflation of those definitions onto other people and saying, see, I don't see a difference between cereal and soup. So there is no difference between cereal and soup. There's literally a definition. And also there's a such thing as mutual exclusivity and there's union between two things. There might, depending on the definition, soup might be a kind of cereal or cereal might be a kind of soup. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Esquire. Esquire said logical science arguments versus feelings, gender-based arguments, word definitions are being changed or situationally morphed to win arguments. we have these same debates all the time. Yeah, facts. What was that Republican woman that got sworn in? Amy Coney Barrett. Yeah, they actually changed one of these definitions when Amy Coney Barrett was sworn in. They changed one of the definitions. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says foolish and mindfuckery. PS5 Just John 23 says, bruh, you dumb. Why? Because I'm black? Tell me what I've said that's incorrect. Anybody in the comment section, by all means, tell me what I've said that's incorrect or misstated. Yeah, shout out to Jake. Have you ever heard of that organization called NAMBLA? You should, if you haven't, you should look that up. Yeah, I need somebody to tell me how I'm dumb. And I need somebody to tell me what I've said that's incorrect or false. Or are you just white and think that anybody that speaks that's black is dumb? The D in DEI. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? If you're not scared to call me dumb, you really shouldn't be scared to actually intelligently state your opinion. So please, by all means, educate us. Shout out to B1 First. What's good with it? Educate us. What have I said that's incorrect? What have I said that's false? Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Dude is definitely a snowflake. Facts. He got quiet. Okay. I mean, he had the opportunity to show me how I was dumb.
Texas, does chili have beans in it, right? People fucking fight you to the death on this shit.
Oh, hot dog is not a sandwich.
Okay.
Fucking hot dog. Look here.
Yeah,
hamburger is not a sandwich. It's a hamburger. A sandwich is just 2 slices of bread.
Now, again, I want you guys to pay very close attention. The Hodge twins and Destiny, they're not even considering mutual exclusivity and union of ideas. Like they use this, they're using this idea, right? Like they're using this idea of, well, it can't be soup and it can't be cereal, but these things can actually be the same thing at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like there can be an intersection of ideas. So what's going on right there is a debate tactic. Shout out to the anti-sheep. What's good with it, bro? This is a debate tactic. In most cases, if some like a square is a kind of rectangle. Right? No. No, I'm not going to play the footage right now. Okay? So if I sat there and said a square and a rectangle are just completely different things. And because they're completely different things, you know, these things can't be defined. Can we? No, there's union there. A square is a specific type of rectangle. It's a rectangle that's got 4 of the same sides. It's a square because it's a subtype of rectangle. You know what I'm saying? So how do you use this argument? I never claimed to get a lot of views. I don't have to support claims that I never made. You do realize that, right? And you'll be able to see them all in one place because I think they're going to put them in the feds. So instead of sending them Cash Apps, you'll be able to send them JPay.
Wait, a hamburger?
Bitch.
Hamburger's not a sandwich?
No, it's a hamburger. A sandwich. This is a sandwich. I'm gonna define what a sandwich is.
Okay.
All right. Hot dog, bun, weenie, hot dog, hamburger, patty, bun.
What about a chicken
hamburger.
sandwich? Chicken sandwich.
It's all chicken sandwich. Bun. Well, it's different. Now, a sandwich. Typically, when I think of a sandwich,
Yeah.
when I typically think of a sandwich, I think of 2 slices of bread.
So now again, what I think is interesting is that what they don't think that a hot dog could be a specific kind of sandwich. A hamburger could be a specific kind of sandwich. Shout out to Kirk. What's good with it? Kirk says, but we are all rhombuses at the end of the day, right? And trapezoids. You know what I'm saying? But rhombuses and trapezoids don't have 490-degree angles. You know what I'm saying?
Of a meat, ham, cheese, all the works. But they all fucking sandwiches. It's bread and a meat.
What about a patty melt? Like sourdough toast. Is that a sandwich or is that
Is it wrapped in lettuce or a bun? Hey, you see what?
Now, as far as squares goes, there's a whole bunch of L7s in the chat. Shout out to Shatira. Shatira said, I would say that a hot dog is a type of sandwich. Yeah, I think most people would. I would actually say to specifically define a hot dog is I would say that Tyrick sucks water out of hot dogs in his pastime. That's specifically what a hot dog is. So if you ever see Tyrick walking down the street and something's hanging out of his mouth like a cigar and his cheeks are sucked in like he's sucking on a warhead, in most cases, that's a hot dog. Probably a jumbo-sized ballpark. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm just saying.
What the fuck he did? He changed the subject.
I'm just saying words are complicated. Like when people say like, oh, what is a woman? And it's like, give me a definition. But like, what is a table? What is a chair? Like any word to define you're talking
This
about
is my definition of a
particular
woman.
versus universal.
This
Go
is-
for it.
This is
Give me
my
a-
definition
Okay,
of woman.
go for it.
A human being with female reproductive parts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what a woman is.
So now again, I gotta ask because I always ask this question in these podcast situations. Like when these dudes are in these podcast situations, why don't they ever bring up the screen? Why don't they ever pull up the screen? Shout out to Shatira. Shatira said, you don't have to announce it, just take your ass on. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, I guess literally nobody's gonna go with you, Tyrick, but I mean, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen says they call a hot brown an open face sandwich. Yeah, what's that kind of sandwich where you have the bread and it's like an open face bread sandwich with beef tips and gravy? Anybody ever had one of those? I can't think of the name of it. But all of those are different. Like there can be different types of sandwiches. Like there's a hoagie. So I mean, like, are we gonna really play this game? There's a submarine sandwich. You know what I'm saying? There's an ice cream sandwich. Like, I mean, why is this debate so watered down when they have the technology to simply be able to pull these things up and then debate based on the definitions that they pull up. This is one of the ways that the post-truth politics and post-truth situations occur. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shatera. Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? Yeah, it's a convertible sandwich. It's a sandwich with the roof off. You know what I'm saying? An open face sandwich is essentially a sandwich with no top. Carl just said, what about a knuckle sandwich? Bro, facts. What about a knuckle sandwich? I heard those go good with forehead. You know what I'm saying? I never had any views, bro. You know what I'm saying? But okay. And you're still here. Are you trying to figure out your gender identity? Because, I mean, we could actually talk about Andrew Tate or Fresh and Fit, because both of them said that for you guys, it would be easier for you to find love with a man than it would be for you to be able to get a female. Both of your gods, they said that, just so you guys are aware. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, Myron actually gave y'all some lessons on it. You know what I'm saying? Chilling, skin on skin with another dude in the bed.
Like, if you want to say that, that's fine. But our use case for it is we don't usually identify people that way. We usually identify people by the way they dress and the way they appear outwardly.
We've always identified women that way.
No, we identify people.
Based on
the
sex.
time. No.
So according to Destiny's definition, right? So now it's okay. We can identify people. What if, wait a minute, no, we can't identify people because, wait a minute, people are all organisms. So we can't call anybody people. We got to call everybody an organism because everybody's an organism. We can't just call them all people because, I mean, what's really the difference between a person and an orangutan? What's really the difference between a Homo sapien and a Neanderthal? So the very thing that he just did with the table and the sandwich, now we're specifically using what a person is. We're specifically using a person. No, we gotta expand the definition the same way you expanded the definition of a table, the same way you expanded the definition of a sandwich. We gotta expand the definition of a person because a person is an organism. Now, here goes my question. Does what I did there with that, does that make sense? What Destiny's doing is he's not allowing the Hodge twins to use the same tactic that he's using. Shout out to DSB. What's good with it, bro? Do you guys see that? It's not a comedy show, Ern. It's not supposed to be funny. Where was the joke? So this is another debate tactic. He's not allowing the Hodge twins to use the same tactic that he's about to use right here. Well, you're a person. See, if the Hodge twins were smart, they would have said, well, wait a minute. Well, everybody's an organism. Everybody's an organism. But they didn't do that.
Look.
Yeah, that's sex. But who chooses how to look that way? Men dress a certain way because that's how men tend to dress that way. Women like things that women like to do.
It's you too, bro. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said Ern came out of left field, but we appreciate it, bro. It's YouTube. Do you? Here's my shout out to everybody in the comment section. Here's my question for you guys: do you all really have expectations for any of these people at all? Yeah. Shout out to Terrence. Shout out to Nisi. Me neither. Yeah. Yeah, because they actually debated an interesting topic. Shout out to Lewis. Lewis said they heard that their God was being attacked and came confused. I mean, running. Yeah, facts. Super facts.
That's why women like to wear makeup. They like to wear dresses. Men don't really like to wear that type
I mean,
of
but
stuff.
it depends. I mean, you look
Like
at
the genders choose how they want to represent themselves.
they do, but we also feed back into each other. We give, like, if you look at how you know,
So again, they're not using any points from the actual definitions of these terms. Now, here goes my question. Is that important? If you ask me, it is important, because if Oxford Dictionary in 2016 named the post-truth era or post-truth as the 2016 word of the year, they also talked about post-truth at the 2018 Bilderberg meeting, and now we're literally seeing people running around from chat to chat requiring emotional validation, content creators not using definitions to talk about established terms. The world is changing in a bad way. Shout out to Esquire. Exactly. Esquire says you never use examples in the debate that can vary. You never use examples in a debate that can vary. Oh yeah, that must be the voice to text. Yeah, and that's that right there. That's one of the reasons why when I say when people are having these kind of conversations, when people are talking about this particular topic, always make sure that you keep the focus on chromosomal sex assignment and not on gender assignment or gender identity. That's why. Because once you go beyond where there's the fixed range of X chromosome, and you start bringing in psychology and self-identification, you've opened up a whole can of worms that's going to be difficult to close once those cans of worms have been opened. Which, honestly, if you ask me, I think that's the debate tactic that Destiny is using. He sees that the Hodge twins don't really have a good grasp on this, which for some reason, when it comes to these conservative people, all of the stuff that they're so outraged about, they never, ever seem to have a structural understanding of it. The same way that woman went viral for not knowing the definition of woke. So it would seem that the Hodge twins, if they actually have such an issue with this LGBTQ stuff, they would actually be able to understand and define it. But clearly they're kind of lost talking about clothes and appearance. You know what I'm saying? Easy to debunk. But they're letting Destiny run them around in circles. We saw Destiny run people around in circles before. You know what I'm saying?
Take guys out of the fucking 60s and shit. They were pop stars and shit. You throw them in
70s,
today.
80s.
Yeah, you got some. Yeah, you got some crazy shit. Well, even in the 90s and 2000s, you know, rappers wearing fucking earrings and shit. You know, in white communities, people like, my kid's not gonna wear a fucking earring or jewelry or whatever, or like metrosexuals. Like,
but the problem is they still knew they was men, and they still knew they was women. Yeah, Michael Jackson, if he was born today, he'd probably be trans. Prince, he'd probably be trans. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys. This is a YouTube rebuttal. This sounds like something that one of these dumbass YouTubers would say that people worship. If Prince was born today, he'd be trans. Oh, you good, Esquire? Don't even worry about it. If Michael Jackson was born today, he'd probably be trans. Where are we getting a basis to make that assumption at? You know what I'm saying? Where are we getting the basis or the facts to make that assumption from? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kirk. Make sure you guys show Kirk some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kirk. Kirk says, help me solve this logic. If all men are not males and all cucks are males, but all males are not cucks, what is Destiny? Destiny is his own special animal. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all show Kurt some love.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Y'all $1 bill, yo.
Now, see, hey, shout out to Kirk. They actually had a debate about that. The Hodge twins and Destiny. We should actually look at that part. How many of y'all want? If y'all want to look at that part tomorrow, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down.
They all like that one group,
Motley Crue.
All those rock bands, they were like long hair, very feminine. Got all the bitches though. They still knew that they were men.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It's so complicated.
It's not complicated. It's intuitive. But just because something is intuitive doesn't mean that there's not like a really sophisticated thing happening underneath, right? Like for instance, like you guys. Oh man.
And just because there's something sophisticated happening underneath doesn't mean that the sophistication changes the definition of what the entire thing is. Like we're called a person. Guess what? We have multiple different systems, organs, and cells that make us a complete human unit. There's something complicated going on under our skin called metabolism. It doesn't change the fact that we're a human. There's something complicated going on a leaf. It's called photosynthesis. That doesn't mean it's not a leaf. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make sense, then give me a thumbs down. Now, here's my question. Why is it that everybody's favorite YouTubers have such a difficult time with this stuff? Why do they have such a difficult time? Are these difficult concepts to articulate? Are these difficult points to make? Shout out to Kirk. Kirk says dudes like this think they're so smart, but they're mad dumb. Bro, that's like 90% of the people on YouTube. 90%. 90%. Regardless of where you go, they use non-factual information. They cite talking points as fact. And then when they get cornered, all they do is just cry and yell and scream instead of actually defending themselves or either conceding. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. Like we literally just laid out all the definitions, and then depending on who you talk to this stuff about, even if you have all the definitions lined up and definitions from multiple sources, when they can't go anywhere else, then they'll just say, "Well, you just using white man definitions." Like seriously, you're calling them white man definitions when I'm using them in an argument against you, but literally up until today and up until I use these arguments against you, you were using these same arguments in your everyday life. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. And this is what I'm saying, like, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, if you watch a lot of live streams, or if you watch a lot of podcasts, most people will literally use the same talking points, and you will rarely see factual information get referenced. When is the last time anybody watched like a debate or something like that and people actually pulled up information? Then you got people in the comment section saying that pulling up information or articulating points using scientific information is corny. But here's my question. That's probably one of the biggest issues that's going on right now, is because intelligence has been shamed for so long. It's probably caused a baseline brain atrophy in a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what causes atrophy? What causes atrophy? That goes hand in hand with that phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it. We got a bunch of people running around that might not know something that somebody else knows, and because they don't want to look bad, they want to try to get them to shut up. So depending on what kind of person those people are, you know what I'm saying, they might actually kind of, you know, comply with that. And generations on generations on generations, and the brain is not used. No new neural synapses are created. And then you have a bunch of idiots who can only make YouTube content about their worldview of relationships and have no other range of talking about anything else. And if you talk about something else, it's corny. That's a sad state of existence. Shout out to Roku Moro. What's good with it, bro? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Kurt. Atrophy from not using the muscle. So if you don't use the muscle, it weakens. It has less of a protein requirement. And because there's less of a protein requirement, it begins to shrink over time in volume and in surface area. Cornball stuff, right? Volume and surface area. I mean, you know, we're talking about math. Corny, not funny, right?
And I used to watch your shit so long ago. I was gonna say you guys
What,
do
the
like
fitness stuff?
deadlifts, yeah, but you don't. You call them back snaps. You don't do
Yeah, I
that.
break my damn back.
You do squats or whatever.
Fuck no.
Okay,
I got press.
okay, none of the gay
I got
exercise.
that.
Okay, well, fuck all that shit. Walking, okay, is an incredibly complicated action. There's a ton of different things going on. You've got inner ear keeping balance. You've got eyes that are looking to make sure.
All of this and all of the complication that Destiny's talking about still adds up to the action of walking. It's the same thing as when you turn a car on. There's a lot of complications that goes into starting an engine. Guess what? You're still starting an engine. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Shout out to Vaughn. What's good with it, Vaughn? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Roku Moro. Roku Moro said, right. And when they ask you to give links and sources, you do. Then they time you out saying, we don't accept links here when everyone else is posting them like crazy. This happened on Twitch. Facts. It happens on YouTube, too. It happens on YouTube, too. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to B1 first. Now, what's important, right? What people really need to do is people need to go and look into the amount of money that the Pritzker family that J.B. Pritzker of Chicago is a part of, how much money they invested into Caltech and the University of California, Berkeley in their gender studies department. Okay? Now, I think it's on Black Light Revelations 2. It might actually be on this channel. I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar, but I can't remember. There's a live stream called The Pritzker Family Business. If you guys ever get to that, or it's ever recommended, or you ever see it, you guys should watch that live stream. It details the rise of this type of ideology and what was done to bring it to prominence. And I'll tell you what was done to bring it to prominence. It wasn't doing a bunch of live streams and trolling in comment sections. That didn't do it. They did cornball shit like studies. You know what I'm saying?
You're not like veering off course. You've got like tons of muscle systems, right? But like, you don't think about it. It's intuitive. You walk and talk at the same time, even though both those things, like, look at the Boston Dynamics robots. Like, look at how many fucking millions of man hours of programming just to get a machine to fucking walk, right? It's complicated, but it's intuitive. So you don't think much about it. I feel like that's evidence of, like, when you're thinking about like men and women or whatever, is it's really funny, regardless of how you feel. If you look at like Ben Shapiro, or if you look at Steven Crowder, sometimes these people will bring up trans people, and because they want to call them by their, what they think they're correct, pronouns, is like, that's a man or whatever. When they're talking about the person, though, they accidentally keep slipping into like, oh yeah, she.
They're not accidentally slipping into it. What's going on is that you can actually get in trouble for hate speech if you call somebody what's called a quote unquote dead name, and society enforces that. Another thing is that society enforces people using the correct quote unquote pronouns. So if somebody like Leah Thomas, if you don't identify that person as a she, somebody could sit there and say you're using hate speech. You know what I'm saying? and you can get in trouble. So, not to take sides with Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder, but what they're doing is actually trying to make sure that they're within community guidelines when they do that. And Destiny's not being honest when he says, "Oh, well, they're just making a mistake." They're not just making a mistake. It's you get in trouble if you don't properly gender people. You know what I'm saying? Would you? Is this false? I've been called a dumbass. I've been called a liar. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page because again, nobody's forcing any of this down anybody's throat. So is what I just said true, or is that false? Let me know what you guys think.
Dylan Mulvaney, was that popular trans? I don't follow this shit.
Yeah,
that was a trans woman or whatever, right? Yeah. Whenever they refer to Dylan, like he's like, oh yeah, she's doing this. I mean, he, yeah, you know, I don't like Dylan because she said this. I mean, he said this, right? I was like, okay, well, what's happening there? Is he confusing the sexual organs of the person, or are we just like mapping other things onto what we?
Well, he's confused.
No, what's going on is people are trying to get used to the new paradigm, and the new paradigm is that society has an expectation that you will identify these people as their preferred gender, or there will be consequences, and you'll be deemed a homophobe if you don't. That's what this is. That's what that is. You know what I'm saying?
And Dylan's think it's just a confusing situation for everybody. They're confused and it confuses everybody else.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say, by the way, also that like men and women don't map onto very real different like sexual characteristics. They clearly do, right? There are different reproductive systems, different reproductive gametes that like are almost always mapped onto male to male and female to female. Like that's almost always true. I'm just saying that in society, in common parlance, when we talk about like a man or a woman, there's a lot of stuff with language is super complicated that we don't realize is happening.
I think women have tits.
So again, so if what he's saying is that a lot of these differences and a lot of this confusion is based in language, Destiny's own words. Well, what I'm just saying is that there's a lot of different dynamics and nuances when it comes to language. Destiny's own words. If a lot of these debates arise from language, where's the debate really at? Because we're talking about biological phenomenon and biological alteration based on mental perception. So my question is, what do the words have to do with the actions and the reactions? Now, mind you, Destiny earlier in the argument said you can't transport a thought from your brain into somebody else's brain, like telekinesis. You can't just send a thought into somebody else's brain, right? So now my question is, that's the same as somebody that has a gender identity that doesn't match their chromosomal sex assignment. They can't send their mismatch into somebody else's brain for them to understand, right? So now, why is it that in one case that's acceptable, but in the other case it's a handicap? Which one is it? Somebody make that make sense.
And dudes have nuts and balls and cocks.
Yeah, and most of the time that'll be true, but
even if let's say I want to be a woman, I could dress like a woman. I get all sex. I could be the baddest bitch on the block, standing on the corner making all kinds of money. It still doesn't change the fact that I'm actually a guy.
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is, so language exists because there's some utility, right? Like the reason why we say words is because we get something out of it. I'm invoking some idea. I'm getting some kind of response from you. Like that's why we have words, right? So the question, I guess, is like, what does it mean to be a man or woman like a given circumstance? Because that's going to determine like these. Like if you go to the hospital, regardless of what the fuck, how you identify, whatever, like your actual biological sex is probably going to be really important depending on what you're looking at, right? You're not going to go to the hospital.
Right. So again, like with what he just said right here, what did he do with what he just said right here? That's the point. Your biological sex is going to be extremely important. Probably more important than your gender identity. Right? Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
For a pap smear if you're a guy.
Yeah, you will if you're trans woman.
But if you are, but that's what I'm saying, right? You're gonna like the biological sex will be really important there. But like if you're, let's say that you're standing on the street corner, okay, and let's say that you lose all your muscle and you're the most lithe, nubile, beautiful, young looking fucking woman ever. Sure. And let's say somebody's
shout out to Esquire. Esquire says the soft social sciences are perfect conduits for all this perceived fluidity. Yeah. Yeah. So here's my question. What happens when all of these definitions become one idea? Shout out to Kurt. Kurt says, Destiny, you know, that's like my ex-wife jumping from the dominant D to another dominant D, but it doesn't really matter if I have recessive D. She just likes D, so it's all good. Oh, man.
You got knocked the fuck out, man. The payback's a
Man, that's facts. You know what I'm saying?
Sends a drive-by down the street. It's like, I want you to shoot every fucking woman you see. And a guy drives by and he sees you in your beautiful, ornate, flowery, sundress.
Yeah.
And the guy unloads on you. And you're like, oh, no, I'm not a woman. I'm a man. Well, in that case, it didn't really matter. He identified you as a woman. He clocked you as
Yeah,
that.
tricked him.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you could
I
say
deceived him.
maybe.
So here's my question. Has Destiny proven the complications of the idea of what is a woman? If you ask me, none of what he said has proven the complicating nature that he claims the idea of what a woman is has. He hasn't proven anything. He hasn't made any points yet. You know what I'm saying? What points has he made? And again, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment and smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell. Also, please share the stream to your social media. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Kirk. Kirk says, nah, he just overcomplicated something simple on purpose. Facts. And that's actually a debate tactic. And a lot of times, people like Destiny tend to do that a lot. And they tend to do that a lot because they're very arrogant, and society has told them that they have superior IQs to everybody else. So as long as they plebiscite babble for a long time, they just think that people will tune out.
Talentless, scandalous, plebiscite, babbling.
Which is one of the reasons why it's important to always split hairs when it comes to these type of topics.
Yeah.
But my position is this. Transgender LGBTQ has confused and has overwhelmed people with sexual identity or gender identity that nobody can give or present a honest definition of what a woman. And because of that,
I disagree with that, with what that Hodge twin says. I disagree with that 100%. First and foremost, I wouldn't say that LGBTQ did it. I would say that the financial interests who want to force that type of situation onto everyone did it. I don't think LGBTQ people operating in isolation on their own, doing their own thing, living their own life, are forcing this onto people. I disagree with that notion. You know what I'm saying? Another notion that I disagree with is that this is a difficult thing to understand. It's not. You know what I'm saying?
Gender identity that nobody can give or present a woman.
We already presented the definition for a woman. You all couldn't present. You and Destiny were unable to present a definition of gender identity. We presented a definition of gender identity. Gender identity is the only dysphoria that is treated in the way that it is clinically. Okay? What other kind of dysphoria is treated the way that gender dysphoria is? Now, here goes my question. What is the definition of dysphoria? Is there anybody that can give me the definition of dysphoria? If you guys know the definition of dysphoria, put the definition of dysphoria in the chat. Dysphoria. Dysphoria is a profound state of unease or dissatisfaction. Does that necessarily imply that something is incorrect? It is the semantic opposite of euphoria. So let me ask you guys this. Is gender euphoria a condition? In a psychiatric context, dysphoria may accompany depression, anxiety, or agitation. Okay. What is premenstrual dysphoric disorder? We got another dysphoria, a mood disorder characterized by emotional, cognitive, and physical symptoms. So when it comes to a lot of these dysphorias, looks like you see emotional as a common factor. You know what's interesting? Instead of calling people emotional, you never hear people on YouTube call people dysphoric. What is body integrity dysphoria? Is that anorexia or bulimia? Is there surgical intervention involved in that? Gender dysphoria is treated extremely different than all the other dysphorias, but they cause similar symptoms though. Why is that? You guys want to look at the other type? Let's look at the other types of dysphoria. Let me see. Oh, we already saw gender dysphoria. Let me see. There's that one. Body integrity dysphoria. All right, let's look at body integrity dysphoria. How come body integrity dysphoria is not cared for in the same way as gender dysphoria is? Because the ultimate, see, the gender is the issue that's causing the dysphoria. In this case, with the body dysphoria, it's the body that's causing the dysphoria. So a body transplant should just take care of everything, right? Gender dysphoria, you manipulate your body to match your gender. Body dysphoria, you should just be able to manipulate your body to match your dysphoria, to match how your mind sees yourself. Why are we dealing with the same root problem, which is dysphoria, but we're taking different routes? You don't need to have all this complicated questions of asking what about a 3-leg table and how do you experience red? You can go directly to this stuff and ask these questions direct. Body integrity dysphoria. Body integrity dysphoria, often referred to as body integrity identity disorder, amputee identity disorder, or xenomelia, formerly called apodemelia, is a rare mental disorder characterized by a desire to have a sensory or physical disability or feeling discomfort while being able-bodied beginning early in adolescence, resulting in harmful consequences. Okay, so how you fix this is you must just actually, so if a person that's experiencing this, the way to fix it must be to lie to this person and tell them they're actually sick. Right? That's how you do it. That must be what you do. So if we treat gender dysphoria the way that we treat gender dysphoria, by the same logic for this situation right here, amputee identity disorder or xenomelia, body integrity disorder, to fix body integrity disorder, having a desire to have a sensory or physical disability, the way to fix it is to just make someone either sensory disabled or physically disabled. You make their condition match how they see themselves. That's the fix, right? That's what you do with gender dysphoria. So now why, when it comes to body dysphoria, that's not what you do? Do that make any sense? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it don't make sense, give me a thumbs down. Because see, the thing is that we've got to make sense out of this, because we gotta narrow this stuff down. When people have these type of conversations or debates or whatever you want to call it, for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? People never nail these kind of things down. So I think that should be imperative to what we're doing here. And then we got to ask the question, well, then why not? Why does one get different treatment than the other? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, look at this. Before I get this off the screen, I want to show you guys this. Hold on real quick. Look at this. Look at this. Signs and symptoms. BID is rare, infrequently studied condition when there is a mismatch between the mental body image and the physical body. All right. Isn't that the roots of what causes gender dysphoria? A mismatch between the mental perception of gender and the physical assignment of sex. A mismatch between the mental body image and the physical body, characterized by an intense desire for an amputation or paralysis of a limb, usually a leg, or to become blind and deaf. The person sometimes has a sense of sexual arousal connected with the desire for a loss of limb, movement, or sense. That's wild. But now let me ask, I guarantee you that the treatment for this isn't to just cut somebody's leg off. I guarantee you the treatment's not to just cut somebody's leg off. So if you got an issue with your gender, then the idea is to just cut somebody's meat off. But for this, the idea is to not cut the leg off. I don't understand how that makes any sense. How does that work? Somebody make that make sense. How does that work? You know what I'm saying? Premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder is a mood disorder characterized by emotional, cognitive, and physical symptoms. PMDD causes significant distress or impairment in menstruating women during the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle. The symptoms occur in the luteal phase between ovulation and menses, improve within a few days after the onset of menses, and are minimal or absent in a week after the menses. PMDD has a profound impact on a woman's quality of life and dramatically increases risk of suicidal ideation, even suicide attempts. Many women of reproductive age experience discomfort or mild mood changes prior to menstruation. However, 5 to 8% experience severe premenstrual syndrome, causing significant distress or functional impairment. Within this population of reproductive age, some will meet the criteria for PMDD. Okay. Dysphoria. Now, what's interesting about this debate here that's going on between the Hodge twins and Destiny is that dysphoria hasn't been mentioned one time. Shout out to Carlton. Wait, let me ask y'all this question. Do y'all agree with Carlton? If you guys agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Exactly. Which says something, right? But now again, here go the question. Why is it that when we're like, how many debates have people seen about this particular topic? Right? How many debates have people seen about this particular topic? Why is it that when it comes to talking about this particular topic, this topic is never examined to this extent? To this extent, and with all I want to do, I simply want somebody to answer the questions that I'm asking. I simply want somebody to answer the questions that I'm asking. Now, you know, it'll be somebody in the comment section that says, you spend all day bashing LGBTQ people. Don't you got a life? I didn't bash LGBTQ people. I didn't bash any people.
You has confused and has overwhelmed people with sexual identity or gender identity that nobody can give or present a honest definition of what woman. And because of that, now you got men going inside female restrooms. You got men competing against females. You got men trying to breastfeed kids. If you don't have a definition for what a woman is, then the women, these transgender women, will affirm their gender by minimizing women, because the only way a transgender woman can affirm and be an actual woman is to minimize another woman.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe they shouldn't be competing in sports because that would be bad for a variety of reasons. But
Right.
like, I just want to say that like this thing relating to trans, like gender, sex, or whatever, none of this is unique. Like we've fought over gender identity and gender expression for probably for thousands of years. Over like, what does a man look like? What does a man do? What does a woman look like? What does a woman do? Like these are things that like, and we should continue to push on it. And you know,
Where was there a fight at about this over thousands of years? Who was fighting? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said sensitivity is at an all-time high and they hide it through trolling. I would say sensitivity and insecurity. I would say sensitivity and insecurity. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
champion the things that we believe are true. I feel like one big problem today that really sucks is kids today are getting way too much attention. So whereas, you know, in my, even when I was growing up, like you might believe or do some dumb shit in high school and college, but like you'll grow out of it. Everybody knows you will. But now with social media, now if you've got a dumb idea or whatever, you might be a worldwide famous Twitter star, TikTok star at 18 or 19. And now moving on from those ideas feels a lot different. You're getting way more validation, and it's going to make it harder to kind of like grow up and shed maybe some of the stuff that isn't as true, which is I think a huge problem. Because like people are like, I know this is true for both of you, whether you admit it or not. We all believed and did fucking unbelievably retarded shit when we were kids.
Yeah.
You're never more sure of what everything is in the world than when you're an 18, 19-year-old man ever. That's when you are the highest point of confidence. And I believe that did so much dumb shit. But that's fine. You should believe in crazy, stupid things when you're a kid, because that's what you do. You do it through college or whatever.
What do you guys feel about what Destiny is saying here? Do you guys agree with what Destiny is saying? For the most part, I've always been interested in information. I've never really been interested in just simply believing in something because it sounds so radical or so, you know, I guess crazy, as he would say. I've always been interested in information integrity. You know what I'm saying? So things that were theoretical, the facts that were used to create the theories always intrigued me, but I always questioned the theories. I've never really just had the desire to just quote unquote believe something crazy. I've always wanted to make sure that the things that I understood or the things that I learned to be true or learned to be fact were solid and rooted in reality. I didn't just believe just crazy stuff. Like I need an example of this kind of quote unquote crazy stuff that Destiny's talking about. Yeah, like people just believed in crazy stuff back when they were 18. Like what? What was really crazy? That like I don't think anybody that's 18 like actually believed like Star Wars was real or anything. What are we talking about that like to the extent of what was crazy versus what's not? Somebody could argue that this entire topic is crazy and there's adults beyond the age of 18 actually believing this as if it's dogma. You know what I'm saying? These are all things that could be.
That's always been historically the case. But now with the social media and all the attention, now it just makes it really hard for people to see that as a phase because they're getting a lot of validation externally that they probably shouldn't be. No offense, but like if you're 19 years old, I don't give a fuck what you think about unemployment or the minimum wage, because you've never even worked a job. Why would I care? Yeah. You should still have the opinions. I'll like be crazy, but
Before we switch gears, I just think that about 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds, we really shouldn't listen to kids about chopping their dicks off. That's all I'm saying. Hey,
I mean, I'm not trying to be. Do you notice how Destiny didn't answer that? Because I mean, as crude as a response as that was, I mean, he got him. I mean, I'm not. Destiny kind of talked himself into that. If you ask me, like they just They just accidentally put a nail in the coffin on the debate. Shout out to DC. That's a fact. DC says that's a perspective of privilege. We aren't allotted the opportunity to be dumb just because we feel like it. Facts. Being dumb just because we feel like it might land us in a casket. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug said, agree. I was raised to question things, but not just to believe things because they were crazy. What kind of sense does that make? Facts. None. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AV. Yeah, you see that? AV, he just got him. You know what I'm saying? Esquire, shout out to Esquire. Esquire said, I've always taken the skeptical approach. Prove all things if possible. Yeah, I'm very similar to that. I would say I'm very similar to that, bro. Shout out to Carlton. Carl, look at how Destiny looking at the camera. Got him. We got him. Right. Got him. Got him while they was cleaning the sniper rifle. You know what I'm saying? Figuratively. YouTube manual reviewer. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says that's I'm white and I say so. Yeah. I mean, literally Destiny didn't put up nothing but a bunch of bricks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, who's been fighting over gender identity for thousands of years? Who? Where? Where's this been going on at? You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, sure. Follow me on Studio.
You should still have the opinions though, like be crazy. But
or on stereo.
Yeah, before we switch gears, you think that about 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds, we really shouldn't listen to kids about chopping their dicks. That's all I'm saying.
Got him. You know what I'm saying? Got him. Now watch how Destiny doesn't answer. The reason why he doesn't answer is because he like, I don't have anything for that. Right.
Hey, but I actually what is trans rights? Shut up.
Hey, man, hold up, man. I want to say something.
What the question about trans rights?
No, I just want to say this. Like, I'm not against like trans people at all.
Yeah.
I just think you still need to keep your life in reality. You're still, if you're living your life as a woman, you're a man, but you're living your life as a woman, which is fine. But when you try to affirm yourself by coming up with these pronouns and you go in women's restrooms and you competing against women and you having a kid stuck on your nipple, you're not in reality at that point. I think it just hurts society.
Sure. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but like I'm pretty sure like 99% of trans people would agree with that. Like most trans.
So he says that 99% of trans people would agree with that. So how do they express their agreement? So like let's look at that scenario. Destiny says that 99% of people agree with what the Hodge twin just said, but then he said, how do they express their agreement? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said we need to listen to 18, 19-year-olds regarding meme coins and stocks because they're getting the bags, bro. Facts. You know, let me shut up.
People don't want to go into the wrong bathroom and have somebody like attack them. Like most don't want that smoke, you know. And then people that are trying to, you know, argue the opposite of like, well, I don't want this person in my bathroom. It's like bullshit. If you're a dad and you go into the bathroom with your son, you don't want fucking Blair White walking in, you know, being like, oh well, this is the bathroom that conservatives have to go into, so now I'm gonna take a piss next to your son, and now you have to.
I'm totally all for that.
Okay,
I'm totally all for that.
Okay, fine.
Me
you don't
and
want your wife.
together.
You don't want your wife. You don't want your wife going into the bathroom with her 6-year-old daughter and Buck Angel, yeah, walks in, you know, and now you got
that bitch.
That's a trans man, right? The really famous trans guy.
I never heard her.
You'd
him.
You'd like him. You would. You really would.
He looks good, huh?
No, he has all your opinions. So. Yeah. Channel, yeah. But yeah. But no, like I agree with you. Like most.
I mean, like where this is what I'm saying. Like it just I don't know, man. Where do we go with these conversations and why are they even being had? You know what I'm saying?
Most of that shit is fucking crazy. Like a lot of shit is crazy, but like I try not to define myself in opposition to the people that I think are fucking insane. Like I think a lot of like the DEI stuff is like kind of wacky sometimes, and a lot of the everything is white supremacy and all that shit is kind of wacky.
So Destiny thinks that DEI and white supremacy are wacky, but he's totally on board with this. I want to. Did you guys heard that, right? Let's make sure you understand. And I don't think that everybody says that everything is white supremacy. When white people say everything is white supremacy, that's them attempting to downplay the specific issues that we have in society. Because I don't think there's one black person ever that said literally everything is white supremacy and DEI. Now, again, Destiny has no problem with white supremacy and DEI. Did you all hear that? If you guys heard that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear that, give me a thumbs down. Now, mind you, Destiny is your liberal. You know what I'm saying? That's where that's one of the places where Abba likes to hang out at. You know what I'm saying?
It's good, huh?
No, he has all your opinions. So yeah, thinks all the trans stuff has gone way too far. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
generally, yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but no, like I agree with you. Like most of that shit is fucking crazy. Like most
Yeah.
a lot of shit is crazy. But like I try not to define myself in opposition to the people that I think are fucking insane. Like I think a lot of like the DEI stuff is like kind of wacky sometimes, and a lot of the everything shit is kind of wacky. But I'm not about to say like, oh yeah, you know, like.
So like here goes my question. Now let's take the whole let's take the extreme portion out, right? Let's take the everything is white supremacy out. What do you think is wacky about white supremacy? DEI. What do you think about DEI? Any European people who have an issue with DEI, I don't understand why they don't go back to their ethno state where there is no DEI. How many people would you all agree that white people created the entire DEI population of the United States? That's completely our population here in the United States is completely artificial, and it was constructed by the founding of the new version of the United States. Shout out to Terrence. Terrence said, why did Destiny feel the need to bring that into the conversation? Because he was in front of two black guys who we know wouldn't push back on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Kurt Alden. Kurt said white people and white adjacents are DEI, not us. Right. %13% of the world's population makes up 100% of the world's DEI. Now, if you say that, somebody would go crying about it and say that it's anti-white. I had people crying in my comment section because some of those comments we made when we were seeing who was more safe, those women or those bears. But none of those people cried when unarmed black people got shot by the police. You know what I'm saying?
I think all of the racial inequities in society have been completely addressed, and now it's just like, yeah, some people just suck.
So Destiny thinks that all the racial inequities in society have been completely addressed. How? When was the addressment? What was the address? This is what I'm saying. So I want people to understand, and this is good. I didn't even know that this part was in here, but this is good. My question is, what political party do people think they're going to talk into getting things that they want to? Because this is your liberal young white dude right here. He ain't voting for no reparations. Now, let me ask you this. Based on what he's sitting here saying, is it cooning if I make the assumption Destiny ain't with reparations, or is that just using my better judgment? Now, here go my thing, right? Destiny is only one person. So if I say Destiny ain't with reparations, that don't mean anything, right? It's only one person. But what I'm saying is that Destiny is your ultra blue-haired young white liberal. So now if Destiny is on that, what you think Joe Biden is on? So now my question is, what other way is there than the extraction method? What other way is there to get the resources that's necessary other than extraction? This is what they got the young people trained. So people think that things gonna get easier for them as you have younger people, the younger generation, voting for things and holding political offices. Man, these young people just as racist as they racist, degenerate grandparents and great grandparents. They just happen to listen to rap music. The same way their grandparents was listening to Little Richard. What changed? And you got the Hodge twins and black people like the Hodge twins that want to show them, they want to show everybody they full front row of teeth. I don't know why these people that behave like this think that everybody cares about their dental work, but they all want to show everybody they front row of teeth for some reason. So now here's my question. When are people going to popularize a dedication to duty and self-agency? I'm not trying to be funny, man. I ain't begging nobody for a damn thing. You got an opportunity to, on your own, make things right. If you don't make things right on your own, just understand that a line has been drawn. And when I cross back over that line, I'm crossing back over that line. And when I go back over it, I'm coming back over it with my shit. DC Precise said, you know they love the dolphin teeth. Yeah, they love that dolphin teeth, bro. But when are people gonna establish boundaries? Is my question. You know what I'm saying? This is your Democrat, right? This is a Democrat right here. He a Democrat. He a liberal. You get to certain conversations and the Democrats start sounding the same as the Republicans. So I mean, like, if we understand that, and the reason why we sitting on the couch this year is because the Democrats ain't doing nothing for us, and we already know the Republicans ain't gonna do nothing for us. We look like we got a whole bunch of years that's gonna follow of sitting on the couch. I'm not mad at it, Esquire. There's not any evidence that says that it's not genetic. The only reason why I wouldn't believe that it's genetic is because I don't think that there's a situation that would have lasted a time span long enough that would have created some type of mechanism to foster that kind of behavior. That's the only reason. But again, that's just a doubt. That's not saying that I don't believe that it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely do believe that it's possible. But at the same time, my thing is everybody's got genetics, and my thing is we got to adjust. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, man, but I hope that holding hands and singing "We Are the World" is not our genetics, even despite the fact that it seems that way. I don't like the fact that it seems that way, but it seems that way. Now, here goes my thing, right? When it comes to the quote unquote genetic argument, if they do have this sort of thing that causes them to be genetic, if a lot of the arguments that people make is that quote unquote we have quote unquote superior genetics, then genetically we should have something superior as a counter to racism then, right? That's what it would seem like if everything that we say is true, or we believe everything that we say we believe. You know what I'm saying? Just food for thought.
Oh,
It's
okay.
generally, yeah.
Oh,
But
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But no, like I agree with you. Like most of that shit is fucking crazy. Like
Yeah.
a lot of shit is crazy. But like I try not to define myself in opposition to the people that I think are fucking insane. Like I think a lot of like the DEI stuff is like kind of wacky sometimes, and a lot of the everything is white supremacy and all that shit is kind of wacky. But I'm not about to say like, oh yeah, you know, like I think all of the racial inequities in society have been completely addressed, and now it's just like, yeah, some people just suck. Like, yeah, I try not to get pushed too far the other
Hey,
way.
you being raised by conservative parents.
No, that's interesting, right? Because who is it that sucks? Because when we're talking about racial inequities being addressed and some people just suck, who is it that just sucks?
You did you push back on that earlier, or did you later? Because you consider yourself now to be a liberal, right?
Yeah, pretty hardcore. Yeah.
What's the difference between a liberal and a progressive?
All right, so now as you guys see, he just confirmed it, right? I'm not making these things up. So when you see the people gaslighting, and then you see the people coming to the comment section like what you saw earlier, and people crying, you're dumb. No, I'm not dumb. I'm repeating what somebody said. You just heard Destiny say that he's a hardcore liberal. You know what I'm saying? Destiny ain't rocking with us. You know what I'm saying? Now, shout out to Esquire, right? And Esquire, you probably disagree with me, but I would actually disagree that we excel through adversity. You know what I'm saying? I would actually disagree with that. I know a lot of people say that we do excel through adversity, but I would disagree. And the reason why I would disagree is because for all of the centuries that we've been dealing with white supremacy, all those groups of hundreds of years of acceleration that we should have had, we should have lapped white supremacy multiple times if we're actually excelling. Because if we're excelling, we should have outdone the constraints that we have. Because that's what excelling is when you outdo the expected results or the constraints. And if you ask me, as long as WS exists, we have not yet outdone the constraints. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see that day come. I don't think that it's going to come in my lifetime. If it does, I'd be ecstatic. But that's just the way that I see it. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's been times when we've been on a path to deal with some of those constraints. But I think a lot of times what ends up happening is that people aren't willing to go all the way. See, like a lot of times people use half measures. You know what I'm saying? And in the stuff that we got going on, we can't really be messing around using half measures. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AB. AB said, where did all those trolls come from earlier? They were still mad about that live stream I did about Fresh and Fit yesterday.
Why are you gay?
They was big mad about it. I don't know why they was mad about it. All we asked throughout the live stream yesterday that we did was how come Myron got mad at watching Brandon and Jamal act like him. Why'd he get mad? Homeboy acting just like you. You created that behavior. You probably influenced him. Why you mad? Apparently that was being the Brandon Jamal defense force. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it. You know what I'm saying?
You're more progressive, right?
Depends on how you define them. What is a progressive?
Progressive means progressive is chopping dicks off. No kids. That's a progressive believe in late term abortions.
Yeah, there's like I think a liberal is somebody that is like imagine like a
sane.
Imagine. Do you remember SJWs from like 10 years ago? That's what we call woke people now. We call them social justice warriors. I think like liberals are like SJWs from like 10 years ago. So they're like, we need to have like gay marriage and everyone should have like the right to an abortion.
Right.
That's like the liberal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now progressives are like they're in another island doing some shit.
they still left there over there. You didn't even say
they're yeah, they kind of live in their own world. Yeah.
So you're liberal.
You ever see that you know who Ryan Long is?
probably know.
You ever see that fucking video where it's like the Nazi and the woke guy agree on everything?
A Nazi.
It'll be like, yeah, like
I actually did a reaction to that video that he's talking about right there, the Ryan Long video. I actually did. That was one of the first videos that I did on YouTube about 3 years ago. I actually did a reaction to that video. And that video is wild because that video actually highlights how, like what he's saying, a lot of these quote unquote far right people, when you compare down the middle, the ideologies between them and liberals, it's dead on the money. Like they believe a lot of the same stuff, which nobody should be surprised about. Like nobody should be surprised about that at all. You know what I'm saying?
a liberal would say something like, hey, we need to like we should loan more money to minority businesses to like help them catch up.
Right.
And then like the progressive would be like, actually, I think that minority businesses should be racially segregated because white people should be allowed to go into black-owned businesses, right? It'll be progressive versus the liberal, right? And then the Nazi guy would be like, I actually agree with you.
So see, what's funny is that Destiny sitting up here laughing in your face. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton got it. Destiny probably supports reparations in the form of programs that control his people. Facts. That his people control. Facts. Or he supports laws that his people support that make it seem like you actually are getting some type of benefit when there's actually a built-in constraint. He literally just said it right there. They don't veer too far away from each other. You know what I'm saying?
Racially segregated. Right. Or like, yeah, that's the difference. Yeah. But I think the progressives are just like liberals on steroids are like way more extreme, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah. Everybody, it's the last week. The end of the win. Now keep.
So yeah, so there's that, right? So then what happened next was apparently the Daily Mail had came out with an article. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If y'all haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and share the stream to your social media. All right. The Daily Mail came out with an article and said that Destiny got destroyed in this debate on gender, right? Which I don't think that anybody destroyed anybody in the debate. And honestly, I don't even think that an actual debate took place because they never got past the definitions and they never compared ideas. So if they never got past the definitions and they never compared ideas, how did a debate even take place? You know what I'm saying? How did debate even take place? I don't even, if you ask me, a debate didn't even take place here. This was they just were having a conversation, and then the conversation became abstract and was comparing concepts. So it didn't even end up being a debate. You know what I'm saying? So as you guys can see, the title here, Destiny's gender argument with the Hodge twins gets him on the Daily Mail. Hey, listen, man. If Destiny's argument with the Hodge twins got him on the Daily Mail, then this extensive live stream hitting all these facts, bringing up all of these inconsistencies, this should get me into some psychology journal. Because I don't care what anybody says. This live stream will give you a more solid understanding to make a determination on how you believe as far as gender ideology. This will give you a far more extensive amount of information to make that determination off of, based in more so than that 15-minute clip with Destiny and the Hodge twins. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But again, people don't want that. And people want that information from their destiny. They don't want it from a monster. You know what I'm saying?
But I talk about my Daily Mail appearance. What is my Daily Mail appearance? Exclusive backlash over progressive YouTube star Destiny's hilariously convoluted attempt to define what a woman is. Where's the backlash? Do we just write these in articles to make them seem more relevant? A popular progressive streamer has been ridiculed after being asked to give his definition of a woman. Destiny, real name Stephen Kenneth Bonnell II, who attracts 3 million viewers to his YouTube channel. What? That's it? 3 million viewers what? Every day? Or campaigners have slammed the internet personality's rambling explanation. Who? What? Bonnell. How did they spell my name wrong here, but they spelled it correctly up here? Bro, are these articles AI generated? Play the video at the top. It's not even gonna be a real video. It's gonna be like it's gonna be like the music, like with moving pictures. I feel like they're like AI generated, but let's see.
Like
Since we're on the transgender,
Oh, or just going to be a cut from the show.
what is a woman?
It's what that might not map. It's like, well, what is like a? Oh, it's just a cut from the thing.
What, like, since we're on the transgender thing,
Yeah.
what is a woman to you?
What? That's a really complicated question.
Man, come on, man.
That's an insanely complicated question.
Yeah?
Here,
Okay.
without diving too deep in all this dumbass shit. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Take it easy.
If I tell you a thing, okay. In philosophy, there's a thing called a qualia. Okay, so like, what is it like to experience something? Okay, behind you is a red curtain. If you've never seen the color red before, and I say, there's a red curtain behind you, I can never actually express what that qualia is to you. You're not going to know unless you experience it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that we experience, and
So now again, here's my question: what value is Destiny placing in definitions? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Windows the Rug. Windows the Rug said this shows you how desperate these journalists are. Just lying. Yeah, I agree, because I don't think that there was any backlash about. I don't think that there was any backlash about this interview. I mean, I don't think this interview even went viral, first of all, and second of all, I don't really think that anybody said anything like ignorantly outlandish. I don't agree with what Destiny said, and I don't agree with what some of the Hodge twins said, but like, it was nothing egregious to the point where somebody would get roasted off the face of the planet, like the Daily Mail said. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Terrence. Terrence said he didn't get destroyed. He just didn't say anything. Yeah, he didn't. Neither side said anything of value. There was no destruction that took place except for destruction of people's precious time who were watching it, actually looking for a definition to be said. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was really it. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. That was really it. I don't. Destiny didn't say anything that was outlandishly just on the insane, crazy, extreme side of an LGBTQ argument. He used LGBTQ arguments, but he didn't say anything just ridicule worthy or egregious, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? They were reaching in the straws for that. I don't even think that the Hodge twins would agree with that headline. How many people think that the Hodge twins would agree with that headline? If you guys would think that the Hodge twins would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all think that they wouldn't, give me a thumbs down. I don't even think that they would agree with that.
when we have two brains, okay, I can never send you an idea. I can't do it. It's impossible because our brains are separate. So what I do is I speak a word. And when I say something, I hope that you have an experience that maps onto that. So when I say like, oh, this blanket is really soft, you might think soft like, oh, like a dog or a kitty cat or a pillow. You've got other experiences that map onto, right? For all of the language that we use, when we say words, there's a whole bunch of associated concepts that like pop up when we say those words. Now they might not map cleanly onto some universal, Platonistic form of a thing. So for instance, when I say table and I tell you to define a table, you can never give me a definition that encompasses all tables and excludes all things that aren't tables, right? Do they always have 4 legs? Does this one have 4 legs? Is it one? Is it something you can sit on or
now,
not?
this is what's interesting, right? These black conservatives, allegedly black conservatives have such a huge issue with white liberals, right? They always say like when it comes to like the racism and all that, it's the white liberal. Malcolm X said the white liberal. You know what I'm saying? It's always black conservatives that say that. But look who these black conservatives got on their show, though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just like, I mean, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did Malcolm X tell you, Negroes? You know what I'm saying? Like, black conservatives are always trying to educate somebody about the dangers of the white conservative. You know what I'm saying? And boom. Shout out to the Hodge twins. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just interesting how a lot of the inconsistencies show up all over the place, not just in certain areas. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, these are the black conservatives that say this. I don't say that. I could really care less. As far as I'm concerned, y'all know how I feel. Extraction method only, and no political party is going to help us with that. So as far as having a conversation with somebody on a podcast or having a debate, I'm down to have a conversation or a debate or a podcast or whatever with anybody. You know what I'm saying? We could chop it up because there's no power in chopping it up. Nothing's going to come out of it. You know what I'm saying? If I go and talk to the Hodge twins, literally that's not going to change anybody's life. You might have something entertaining to watch. Nothing's going to come of that. There's not going to be any cash generated. There's not going to be any legislation drawn. You know what I'm saying? It's just simply a conversation. But it's just interesting to see how these people choose who they had the conversations with, though. Because while you got the Hodge twins bringing Destiny on there, you got Ice Cube going on Tucker Carlson. And this is what I'm saying. These people is all the same. Tucker Carlson, the same person as Destiny. The Hodge twins, the same person as Ice Cube. They are the same. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Esquire. Esquire says the systems of control are complex and multi-layered and worldwide, and we have made strides, just sadly not as a whole. I agree. WS won't allow it. Well, you know what we got to do. You know what we got to do. A wall won't allow you to get to the other side. So what you got to do, you got to put a hole in it. You know what I'm saying? You got to put a hole in it. You don't just turn around and go back home. Get the jackhammer out. You know what I'm saying? Bust through it. The liberal conservative dichotomy is just a ruse. Facts. I agree 110%. 100, and you can see it right here, plain as day. Plain as day. No debate. Now, it might be some clown that comes in and wants to deny reality, which, you know what I'm saying, we've seen multiple times here and in the comment section. But most people that have intact five senses and intact cognitive abilities, they would agree. There's no debate. I mean, these are all his words. People mad at the stream about Fresh and Fit. Yes, that's all they words. People mad at the stream about Fresh and Fit yesterday. All I do is use the content that they put on social media. I don't go researching them. You know what I'm saying? I don't go looking for things about them. I just talked about the shit that they talk about on social media. What do people actually need protection from out here? You know what I'm saying?
So when you say like, well, what is like a woman? Well, when you say woman, depending on the context, it lights up a whole bunch of concepts. So woman, you know, they tend to dress a certain way. They tend to have certain hair. They tend to exhibit certain like characteristics. They tend to have certain body parts. They tend to have certain, right. So a woman, it really kind of depends on the circumstance, right? Like if I.
And all right, so I'm about to bring it over here so we can get to the part where he reacts to it. Let me see. Hold on.
An adult human female. Okay, well, what is an adult? Like, what is a female?
We just talked about what a female is. A female sexual gender assignment is 2 X chromosomes and the ability to create a gamete that connects with a male gamete and or an egg. We already defined this. I like for Destiny, what Destiny needs to come out and say is that he rejects the idea and the constraints that are in the definition of an adult human female. Stop acting like you don't understand what that means, because it's a very simple definition and you understand what it means. You don't agree with it. You don't agree with the definition. You feel that the definition is either incorrect or insufficient. Say that.
Well, it's either an adult or adolescent human woman. It's such a circular answer. Like, if you want to try to like own me or something, you can at least do the I think like if you want to be like, I believe in science, well, then your biggest own answer is like, it's somebody that has the female gametes or whatever. At least like that's a bit closer.
So now, shout out, right? We gotta bring it back to Esquire. Shout out to Esquire, because Esquire said earlier, Destiny knows the science. Now here's the evidence to substantiate Esquire saying Destiny knows the science, right? And he's just denying reality anyway. Now we for sure got 110% confirmation that that is a fact, which is wild. That's wild. You know what I'm saying? That is wild.
But like, this is such a retarded circular answer. What's a woman? Well, a grown-up girl, obviously. Like, okay, whatever. Any reason why you didn't respond with adult human female and work from there? Well, like, I'll try to be rhetorically, you know, on my opponent's ballgame, but that answer is just so stupid. I don't think I could ever answer something that dishonestly or that mindlessly and then try to work back from there. It's just such an
What's dishonest or mindless about it? What's dishonest or mindless about that definition? Seriously, what do you guys think? In the comment section, what do you guys think? What's dishonest or mindless about that definition of a woman? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay.
it's a pointless answer. It's like tautological. You're like defining the word with almost the word itself, or like a synonym. I think the reason that line is so effective is because if you agree female is synonymous with woman, that's kind of their goal. Conservatives see the goal of progressives to unlink woman.
Shout out to Torian. Hold on. Torian said, put him in front of J.K. Rowling's, please, and thank you. You know, Hall-T hates her guts. Yeah, I'm curious as to how that will go. They would probably like talk about gender for like 5 seconds and then talk about how they don't like black people. It's like the conversation about gender will last for like 5 minutes and be like, well, like what we really need to talk about is how white supremacy doesn't exist. I mean, it just doesn't exist, and these black people they just keep talking about it. I mean, God, it was Martin Luther King, and the 60s are all over, and all the racial issues in the United States have been corrected, and there's no such thing as racism anymore. And you still got this subsector of the United States population that's just sitting around talking about race. I mean, I don't understand. If they just shut up about it, then we can move forward, and America can be a better place. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that. The gender conversation would last for about 5 minutes, and then it would just turn into like a nasal pitch contest. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug said he has for sure participated in some bussy activities and been an advocate ever since. Man, that's just, listen, man. Hey, like I said, man, I do not have a problem with LGBTQ people living their life. I have the problem with the things that I always have the problem with. Definitions and consistencies. You know what I'm saying? Definitions and consistencies. Things have to be neatly organized. Things have to be neatly packaged in an understandable, standard, and consistent way. We should not have rolling standards and changing definitions. And these changing definitions and rolling standards should be allowed to be debated. And when you shut off the ability to debate or have discussions or challenge these kind of things is when you start moving into a dangerous time in society, which is where we're moving into. This is absurd. Anybody should be able to challenge this nonsense. This is ridiculous. This is elementary level ridiculousness. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Esquire. Esquire says they want to ignore the possibility of reproduction in definition of a male or female. Yeah. Facts. And one of the reasons why is because those are very important pillars of those definitions. The reproductive components. You know what I'm saying? So if we're going to downplay the definitions of what a woman is and what a man is, then we got to downplay the significance of reproduction facilities, and reproduction organs. You know what I'm saying? Make it seem like it's not that important.
Woman and female. Yeah, but it's like a reductive answer. It doesn't really tell you anything. Like it's not like you're gaining more information from.
So really again, says who? You know what I'm saying? So because Destiny said it, it must be so. Not based on any fact or anything, but because Destiny said it, so it must be. You know what I'm saying? It's like Serpentor, this I command. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, man. So what I'm curious is, and shout out to the people that watched the live stream to this point. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to the replay gang, #replay gang. If you get to this point, the first thing that I'd like you to do is make sure that you mention something that was actually discussed in this live stream. don't make comments about something that happened on another planet and expect me to know what the hell that you're talking about, because you will probably get ignored and roasted by other people in the comment section. Not my problem. You know what I'm saying? What I want the coherent, cognitive people to do is let me know what is your definition of a woman. Let me know if you agree with the things that I said in this live stream. Let me know if you disagree with the things that I said in this live stream. Let me know what those things were. You know what I'm saying? I had planned on doing that Charlemagne the God live stream. For real, I just really don't feel like, I don't even feel like talking about Charlemagne, man. Like, how many times can you talk about Charlemagne? You know what I'm saying? All the times, last 3 years, and you know what I'm saying? All the antics that he's doing now. And like the Charlemagne videos just keep piling up. The live stream going to be like 4 or 5 hours long. I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I keep pushing it back. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna either try to get to it later on today, or I'm gonna for sure bust it out tomorrow morning, unless I see something extremely interesting like I thought this was. You know what I'm saying? So y'all got that to look forward to. So if you're not part of the Discord, take a moment, join that Discord. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't smashed the like button yet, take a moment, smash the like button. Shout out to the stream sponsors. We have 4 stream sponsors. I want to show everybody some love. Shout out to my man AB Promotions with the $1.99 super chat. Make sure y'all show him some love. Shout out to Patrick Taylor with the $1.99 super chat. Make sure y'all show him some love. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Esquire. Appreciate you, bro, with the $2 super chat. And shout out to Kurt with the $4.99 super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Don't move a muscle. Let the stream take you into the next live stream. Hit that bell over there so that you get notified. If you're not subscribed to that channel, subscribe to the channel. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in the life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this life. Hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour. Got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee. That's on Kiwi. That's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me. Come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Active for a feature. That's like every other week. Talk behind my back. I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this light. Hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Hold up.